guys? This is Will coming to you from Georgia in the United States.
Family assembled. We have liftoff.
That's a bad kitty.
Welcome to Call of the Wild. An exploration of sound with the latest electronic music.
Make the ground shake.
With nothing to hold us back, these are the songs of the wild.
I'm so alone, nothing feels like home. I'm so alone, trying to find my way back home to you. I'm so alone, nothing feels like home. I'm so alone, trying to find my way back home to you. Back home to you. so alone. Nothing feels like home. I'm so alone. Trying to find my way back home to you. I'm so alone. Nothing feels like home. I'm so alone. Trying to find my way back home to you.
I am again, floating through the silence in my cold skin. My body is wearing thin. My fears tell me I'll never win. My body is wearing thin. And there's darkness here. The whole world I fear. In my room I seem to drown. But I won't let them take me down. I won't let them take me down. I won't let them take me down, down, down. I won't let them take me down.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to VGL Summer Season Split 1. I was about to say Spring Split 1, but it's not spring anymore, it is summer. We have our playoff brackets today. This is going to be an amazing day of top-end Vainglory action here in the European Challenger Series. I have Dalsey and Tasty Bacon with me as usual, but before I introduce them, I'm going to rattle through some things because unfortunately we're a little bit behind. It's some players just a bit new to the double draft system, so we didn't quite have everything that they wanted ready in place. So I'm just going to tell you what we've got coming up today. First will be Salty Potatoes versus Historic Esports. Then it will be Calamity Reborn, Leon's team versus XL Esports. I will be finishing the day with Team Queso versus Waves. So some incredible games coming our way. And just to show you the playoff bracket in its full, you can see it right here. This is what our bracket looks like. One win, I think, from each winners should secure you a top 3 spot in the VG8. So our 2 winners from the first 2 games today will have a top 3 spot to battle for a VG8 spot. They will be placed in the challenge battles. Now, let's move on to our first game of the day. And to show you our first game of the day, I will bring you into our wonderful API screen, which is going to show you some stuff from vgpro.gg, except for I've put the players' names in wrong on one of the sides, so it just says player name. So actually, we're going to avoid that for the moment and talk to Dalsey and Tasty Bacon. How are you guys doing?
Great. I've been looking forward to today's games for basically the last 24 hours, Scoundrel, because that's when we found out who would be in the playoffs. But fantastic games coming up. The roster that is Salty Potatoes, Class, the Joker, Sneaky, all top tier European Challenger teams. Players and Sneaky, well known for being one of the main carry threats from Reliable Union back in the Challenger series.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump into the draft, ladies and gentlemen, as quickly as we can, because this game is a little bit behind. So we want to make sure these teams have that draft going. We're going to be using the double ban system today. So if you've been keeping up with the VG8, this is what they use in the professional leagues of Vainglory. And for our playoff bracket, that is what we will be using for our players here.
Yeah, and this is really exciting, Tasty Bacon, because all these teams have been eager to be getting their hands on the double ban client so that they can really start to try and win the game from the draft rather than in the game itself.
That is... Tasty Bacon is turned into a scoundrel now. He just mutes his microphone accidentally.
I actually wasn't muted. I was watching the draft, and I didn't see the first ban coming through from the side of Historic Esports, so I was just typing into the game client to let them know it started, and I type horribly slowly in the Vainglory client, so that's actually what the issue was there. But there's going to be Baron and Grumpjaw banned, so no new surprises there. But the Grace first pick for the side of Salty Potatoes.
Yes, This is something that we've seen a lot of, Dalsey, right?
Yeah, no, it is. And you notice that Black Feather ban there. This is kind of the strength of a double ban draft, is that Sneaky is well known for his Black Feather prowess. Now, if you glimpsed an image of that VG Pro stats thing, you would actually see that Sneaky, who was actually the player name, so you wouldn't have seen it at all, has really worked on his hero pool. So Black Feather ban, it's good, but it's not going to crush Salty Potatoes whatsoever.
Yeah, and the members of Historic Esports were actually in the client before the draft started saying, Sneaky, please no Black Feather, just don't play Black Feather. And the members of Salty Potatoes were just like, well, then you're going to have to ban it. So they went ahead and did just that. Vox going to be their pickup after the Idris ban, and then a Kestrel for the side of Salty Potatoes.
Yeah, and that's going to be a weapon-powered Kestrel on the lane for Sneaky, so we'll have to see what the last pickup is for the side of Salty Potatoes, just eating into their bonus time here at Scoundrel, and it is a Scarf.
Yeah, Scarf's going to be the final pickup. So Scarf, Kestrel, and Grace. I kind of like Grace into hyper carry compositions just because of that heal. She's got great peel as well. One of the ways to then counter this would potentially pick another range in the jungle for Historic Esports, just because that makes Grace slightly less effective, because if you pick a melee, it's a lot easier for her to hit her B, Holy Nova. How do you feel about that one, Tasty?
Just saying a ranged is not enough, though. It has to be a range that has some form of mobility, because if you just pick a ranger like, let's say something like a Celeste or, a Scarf or something like that, Grace can just use her benediction onto them, walk 2 steps past them, and then drop the Holy Nova, and they're still going to get stuck in it. So that's why Vox is so good against Grace, because if she tries to benediction him, he can just sonic zoom away. So you do need some sort of mobility or escape. Sky is a perfect pick.
I was literally about to jump in and say, what about Sky? And then, Sky comes in. I think that would have been the best pickup here. So that is the draft completed. And what we means now is we're going to jump into the match. I'll just double check everybody ready. And while we're doing that, I can actually bring you up the API screen. Because we actually have it ready now. So while we get the guys picked and ready, I will just double check on both sides. We'll have a look at that API screen. And that is showing us some of those most played heroes of everybody. And you can see on Sneaky, Blackfeather, Rona, and Vox up there for Sneaky. So he's on something a little bit different to what he's usually up there to. You can see all their stats, including their KDA and CS per minute. And we're going to go into the match now. And means we've got a blind pick. But gentlemen, this is a big moment for Historic Esports, because Tasty Bacon, you were talking about their path to get here, where people are saying that, you know, they're a bit odd to have got this far into the tournament, but they've knocked out some pretty beastie seeds.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, they are definitely the Cinderella story and the underdog in the playoffs, being a 22 seed. But to get here, they still had to take down some other top teams, defeating the 11 seed Phobos, the 6 seed Team Gravity, and then the 14th seed Infiltration. So it hasn't been just a pure fluke that they got here. It's not just because of having, you know, a team like Team Queso knocked down into the elimination bracket so early. They still had to go against multiple top teams.
Yes, and we are loading into the game. When we have the double draft system, the reason we don't show you the game is because we just go through a blind pick. So it's easier just to show you guys some cool, interesting information in the meantime while we get loaded into the game. And speaking of that, we are into the game. And that means it's time for me to back out and let Dowsey and Tasty Bacon take it away.
Thank you very much. And this is our first playoff match of today. Winner of this series will secure a top 3 spot in the European VGL Challenger Series, Tasty Bacon, hence securing a spot at the Challenge Battles.
Yeah, very important. And already we're going to see Class looking to go aggressive into the Historic jungle. Not going to get that camp, and now going to be in a little bit of trouble.
Not really. It's a Grace. She just kind of walks away and says, ha, never mind. Like, the thing about Grace is that she puts a lot of pressure onto the jungler. She slows down his clear. If you look at Scarf, already about to finish that second healing treant, whilst the Sky has only just started her. So now there's huge rotational advantage for the side of Salty Potatoes, not to mention an experience advantage as well. They're going to be sharing experience here, which does not go favorably for the Sky, because it means Joker is just edges ahead on that experience bar, and already it's looking good for Salty Potatoes.
Well, it doesn't really change a whole lot. I mean, they both hit level 2 after the same number of camps. Now there's going to be a nice rotation from his source just to guarantee that they are going to get that treant. KTL, though,
goes very low.
Okay.
Easy to kill you will be the person to help secure that. And Sneaky takes this as an opportunity to push the turret and go back, purchase some upgraded components. He gets himself the boots and the 6 sins. So now a bit of a damage lead in the lane, and less easy to kill you is able to go back to his base and kind of match that.
Yeah, easy to kill you is it's gonna be a little bit before he can do that, because he's got that wave that Sneaky pushed into him to farm up, but he is going to farm up that entire wave quite nicely. I don't think he actually missed any of those last hits. So nice job by Easy to Kill You and to soak up that wave as it pushed into his turret. But like you mentioned, Sneaky will have a bit of a damage edge if they do go trading. I would expect a rotation back to the shop at some point, but they want to go and secure this Ancient Treant once more.
Yep, and it is going to be secured by them. The Joker not quite able to find a Spitfire to light that goop, and now he's in a bit of trouble. Here comes Class, but it's not going to be enough. That's first blood going over to Historis, and Class will be able to escape. We're starting to see Historis just the roam as 3 to try and get some early advantages.
And that's exactly what they've been able to do. Easy to Kill You is going to go recall, but at the same time, you have Astro Maseru going to be clearing out those double minion camp in the back of the Salty Potatoes jungle. So small little edge gained in the jungle. However, Sneaky is going to get a couple of minions to go down to this turret. Actually, no, Easy to Kill You gets back just in time to save that wave and picks up all 3 of them. So this is looking actually really good for the side of Historis.
Yeah, his class is going to go down. It's just a overextension from Salty Potatoes, and now we'll have to see if Joker is able to get out alive. In fact, picks up a kill for himself. Now the 1v1, but he's just missing so much health, and that's going to be a serious strike to find the kill. Sneaky moves in. Sneaky will move away, but Easy to Kill You has blocked his entrance, and I'm surprised that Ostro wasn't really aware of the fact that he could have looked for a third kill onto Sneaky there. Either way, it doesn't really matter. It is still great rotations early from the side of Historis, and got themselves an 1,000 gold lead at this 4-minute mark.
And definitely a strong first few minutes for Historis Esports. The jungle has now intensified, so getting to the shop is a little bit easier for these laners. We'll see where Easy to Kill You just has to go with this build. Looks like it is going to be the Poison Shiv to start, which I think is a very, very smart pickup when going into a Grace especially. However, Sneaky looking to very likely pick up that Sorrow Blade first item, has double 6-ins still. So just wants to have as much of a damage edge as possible as they try and push it onto Easy to Kill You. Joker rotating up, but not going to be able to find anything there. So far, everything is definitely going the way of Historis Esports. Asteramasu has that Frostburn first item already.
Yeah, no, and that Frostburn, if Historis are able to use that kind of item to gain some more kills now, or at least put some pressure onto this turret, and that's going to go really well for them. You see that just Class struggling to escape the full barrage, will be able to dodge some of it, but he's down to half HP, so that means this this really strong captain that is Grace going to be a little bit less effective for now. That's a Poison Shiv picked up by Easy to Kill You. Sneaky looking to finish his Sorrow Blade, it seems, with the double 6-ins and that Heavy Steel. Likely going to be a Sorrow Blade, and he has the gold for it, but he's going to be stopped from going back, and that's a lot of damage going his way. Oh, the death from above. He's dead. What a great little play by Ostro. Pretty much all by himself, able to secure a solo kill.
Yeah, that was a beautiful forward barrage, and the death from above blocking off any chance of escape by Sneaky. And this is going to allow Historis to just stick around in the lane for a bit, try and get some damage on the turret. But From KTL is melting quickly in that goop.
Yeah, it does go down. And that's going to be at least one going back over to Salt.
So Fountain now get picked up from KTL. Would have really liked to have had that item completed just now, but Easy to Kill You with this Poison Shiv is doing some pretty good damage to Classed. Someone you may remember from last season of Challengers is Classed King. Was a very solid player for Late Cobras, I believe he was on last season.
Yeah, no, he was. And we are aware of the in-game sound issues, guys. We appreciate the fact that it's not as ideal. We'll fix it for the next game, or at least give it an attempt to. Unfortunately, whilst we are in-game, unless there was to be a pause, which there won't be, there's nothing really we can do about it. So it's unfortunately just a grin and grit it at this point. But right now for Salty Potatoes, they're kind of in the same position. Seeded number 2 against this 22-seeded Historis Esports, or Historis Sports, I should say. You would expect that this game would be going a completely different direction, and it still has the opportunity to do so. Historis, though, with a really great early aggression, have been finding some nice little advantages for themselves.
Yeah, really, really strong early game, but can they keep it up through the mid game? Because that's when this Kestrel and then the Scarf, once they start coming online, they should be able to start turning this one around. But early pressure is the name of the game right now for Historis. I wonder if it's Historis Esports or Historic Esports. Or Historis Sports or Historic Esports. It's one of the two. Either way.
Historis, and unless they're going to spell esports wrong, then it's Historis, because they've got a lowercase e in their name and uppercase S. Oh, Spitfire goes over to the side, and that's going to be a kill traded back. Class might lose his life as well. I'm being super impressed by this Sky play from Ostro. Look at that! He just does everything! He's a monster!
That would have been a triple kill if it wasn't for From KTL actually taking one of those two. But Asteramasu absolutely blowing up the members of Salty Potatoes. And that's going to be this first turret as well. This Sky almost single-handedly currently winning this game.
Man, Ostro Marasu has been a monster so far. He's going to go with his 2,000 gold and practically get himself a broken myth off the bat. There it is. So pretty huge power spike for Historis at this point. And if I was Salty Potatoes, I would be starting to worry because their composition doesn't really deal with Sky whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a very stationary composition with the exception of the Grace. They're going to have to really start relying on that directional shield. Class is going to have to focus onto Astro Maceru with that benediction in order to get the direction shield onto his teammates and try and keep them safe because Sky is just running rampant. And look at that, even just a quarter of the forward barrage hitting.
Goes down. That's a definite of catching Class. Derek is able to escape. Class, will he have the same fate from KTL? May lose his life. No, he best about survives. That's going to be Dragon's Breath burning. But here comes Ostro jumping on in. Forward barrage onto Sneaky, looking for the kill, but he just won't be able to find the last tick of damage. Spitfire to the face might just force them back. These fights are consistently being dictated by the Historis.
Yeah, and that time we saw Class do a very good job of using that benediction, getting the directional shield up and reducing the damage. And that's the only reason they were even able to stay in that fight. But they still had to recall while the members of Historis were able to just go down and take the gold miner. And that's going to just be another little advantage going the way of this 22 seed.
It's pretty insane. Pretty insane. These guys have knocked out some formidable opponents during the group bracket stage of this tournament. They were in the same kind of pathway that Team Queso were, and Team Queso got knocked out by Isuba at the beginning of the tournament, if you guys remember. But that's not to say that Historis didn't have a hard time getting here. They have consistently played against opponents seated higher than them, knocking out Phobos, Team Gravity, and Infiltration, which we saw yesterday to secure their spot here in the playoffs. And it's been a pretty good journey for them, now showing that they can take it against Salty Potatoes. Talk to Sneaky. He said he's looking forward to his match, but he doesn't want to underestimate Historis. Well, certainly at this point in the game, you're thinking that whatever was the goal and whatever was the plan, that Salty Potatoes is going to have to be rethinking it.
I mean, I still feel like Salty Potatoes has a stronger composition once we get to the late game, but it's just going to be all about can they take down Astro Maceru, because that is going to be their key priority target. They just have to hope that doesn't get to a point where Easy to Kill You gets strong enough that while they're trying to focus down the Sky, Easy to Kill You is just going to be dancing around the team fight, doing a ton of damage. He's gone for a much more early game focused build for the time being, but now that he has the breaking point, he's going to be able to stack up and get a lot more damage. And of course, it has that tension bow, normally considered an early game item, but it has so much armor pierce that it's actually become a little bit more of a mid to late game item as well. And so that's going to be the big threat for Historis is Astro Maceru has to be focused down, but Easy to Kill You is just continuously ramping up during all of this.
Yep, and the Joker is slightly a decent way off of becoming a threat. He has decided to go Frostburn Eve of Harvest to try and sustain, which means there's going to be no broken myth on this scarf for a good 5 minutes now, as we're hitting this stage of the game where gold is quite hard to come by due to the fact that Historis are putting pressure in the lane and into the jungle as well. And so until Joker really gets that broken myth online, I don't really expect Salty to really want to look for all-out brawls. Of course, they're going to be happy to poke. They have great poke, and they can certainly do so. But when these crystal sentries get contested, there's nothing really they can do to stop it. They are going to start throwing some glimmer shots their way, but a gauntlet goes down, and it just traps Class separated from Joker and Sneaky. And this is something that Historis need to continue doing. They need to continue pushing in, taking these crystal sentries, securing gold miners whilst they can, and attempting to put the pressure onto the side of Salty Potatoes.
And that's exactly what they've been doing. That was their second crystal sentry kill. They're on the gold mine now, but this is a dangerous one.
Yeah, they didn't quite see how close Salty were. One shot's going to come out and tag from KTL, so they have no captain for the good part. And there is a fountain available. Maybe they could bait Salty in, thinking that everything's been expended. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. Interesting purchase from KTL. He's gone for an Aegis rather than a Crucible of his own. Easy to you. That is some crazy positioning in the sense that it's not great, and that's going to be him just about walking away for now. But Classed, never mind. It's going to be a kill going over to the Scarf. Classed in trouble. No, going to go down. Uses the fountain to save his life. Sneaky trying to get this wave closer. They might be able to get a turret here, Salty Potatoes, due to a poor position and rotation from Historis.
Yeah, easy to kill. You just kind of walked right into the enemy team. I don't think you knew that they were there, but you have to assume after a situation like that it is going to be a difficult rotation to go straight up into the lane. From KTL, wanted to try and hold these minions for his teammates, but unfortunately has to take every single one of those 1 health minions. Goldminer did also go over to the side of Salty Potatoes, so starting to find a little bit to get themselves back into this game. I want to go back to that item purchase you were talking about from KTL, though. Picking up the Aegis. I actually really like this item purchase. The big damage threat as we get down the stretch is going to be this Scarf. And if From KTL is positioned correctly, can block out all of these Spitfires and prevent that damage from going onto his team. So that's why he wanted to get as much shield as possible. And there you go. You see him eat that Spitfire. Barely even affects his HP. That is the reasoning why he went for the Aegis as opposed to, in any other defensive item that has more team utility.
Yeah, well, it certainly can be a useful pickup. I do think that there will be times when a Crucible will work better for the team. We'll just have to see whether or not it's going to be as effective or crucial for the side of Historis. That last Crystal Sentry is sitting there ready. I'll have to see if Historis are feeling confident to go take it. Seems like they are going to start moving towards it and eliminate the Crystal Sentry from the map. They have vision. They can afford to do so, and because of the rotations back to base from Salty Potatoes, there's nothing really they can do to stop their Crystal Sentry losing its life. They are rotating very quickly, though. Spotted by the Scout Traps, they will be in vision. Ostro did take a huge chunk of the damage, being the one to tank that Crystal Sentry, which means that Historis can't really do anything for the next couple seconds.
Yeah, they're just going to go ahead and grab both of these treants, both of the mids.
Gauntlet, wait for it. That's going to be Joker silence, but easy to use, taking a huge chunk of damage. Death from above goes out, slows down everyone, and KTL's being tanked. That's a huge one-shot, finding a lot of damage onto this Sky. That's easy to you diving in and losing his life. Great usage of a series strike to escape a sticky situation. Ostro has a chance to actually clean up here, but Sneaky's not.
Just kidding.
That's going to be an ace going over to Salty Potatoes.
That was a really good fight by Salty Potatoes. They were able to isolate the easy to kill you. He actually got stunned up by Grace very early on in that fight, which really ended up being what cost them. As soon as that stun came through, there was so much damage to follow it up from Sneaky and the Joker. And that's one of the keys, is making sure that you don't get hit by that Grace stun. You have so much mobility with this Vox, with this Sky. Getting stunned by the Grace is an absolute death sentence because of the amount of burst. And look at how quickly Salty Potatoes have just turned this around. All of a sudden, getting that ace, getting those 2 turrets in the lane, and the Kraken unleashed. This game has just been absolutely flipped around.
Absolutely, and Sneaky was able to go get the full rotation of the backs as well. So just ramping up that gold now at a full damage item build, 4 damage items, double monocle, Sorrow Blade, and Tension Bow on this Kestrel. His Glimmer Shots and his auto attacks will pack a punch, and it's really on Ostro to really be able to carry and save this game from a huge throw that Historis have kind of executed here. This Kraken down to half HP, now threatening the base of Salty Potatoes, looking to just finish this one now and now. Spitfire lands onto Ostro, does separate him from the team, and this turret's just going to get melted on down. They could look to finish it here. They have to get in range of this turret, and that's a little bit difficult. The Death from above just stopping it. So it will be base saved by Historis, but they are now shaken in their boots as Salty Potatoes have made a full-fledged comeback.
Yeah, Sneaky has really started to position himself incredibly well in these fights, not really taking any damage, but able to dish out a ton when he was shooting at that turret. It was like 700 damage going down onto that objective. Strumacero going to be taking this treant, and easy to kill you, looking for these front camps. They need to get themselves into another advantageous position, but it's going to be tough. They had such good vision control earlier. That's all been cleared out. Now they're going in. They know they don't have to deal with a sentry, but Astamacero.
He does go to tongue down, but this is a huge gauntlet taking the Joker out, and he's going to lose his life. Cast takes a huge chunk of damage. Sneaky's all by himself, and he's not going to be able to escape. And Ace goes through for Historis, and this time the fight won by the gauntlet catching that scarf.
Gauntlet catching the scarf. Astamacero went down so low, but was able to back off to a safe distance and continue putting out the damage while the glimmer shots and the scarf Dragon's Breaths were, or not Dragon's Breath, Spitfires were getting blocked up from KTL. That's the team fight that Historis is looking for. With that ace, they're going to take 2 turrets of their own, and then they should be backing out here because you do not want to risk getting caught with only 1 turret standing. So back and forth we go, Dowsy. What a great first game. I don't think anyone was really expecting. Oh, no! No, Grace!
Oh, she's in the base! Oh, close! Oh, I've seen some salty tweets from people who have been affected by that tasty bacon. Holy moly, if that's the reason that salty potatoes lose the game, then I would be tilted on for the rest of the day.
Oh my goodness. Oh no, that's devastating. I've had that happen to me as well in games. It's one of the most helpless feelings ever because you hit it as they're recalling and you realize it just a moment too late and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Oh, that is
I love
that
the spamming. The thanks as well coming out of his stories. They've just been spamming thanks for the last minute. Just like thanks. Wow, Kraken goes over. Class is going to be really considering this because now with a Kraken pushing in and only 2 Vein Crystal turrets in its way, this is looking a
for
little
anyone
bit
wondering
shaky.
what's the hard counter to Grace? Recalling.
Yep. You've been doing it wrong, guys, in your solo queue games. You just need to recall more often.
All right, so salty potatoes, they are at least set up to try and defend this Kraken, but it's got to be tough to refocus yourself after that. This is going to be difficult to defend with all the damage coming through. Gauntlet's going to come out at some point. There it is.
Yep, 1 shot. Oh, can they get the active camera trap popped? No, they cannot. Everyone's outside of the gauntlet. Class, though, has to heal himself. The 1 shot will connect onto this sky. Look at the damage from the Dragon's Breath. That might be the turnaround they need. They've lost Vox. This Kraken going to be turned upon. And they're just going to try and focus it down. They don't need to go for another team fight just yet. Salty Potatoes able to defend their base. But now everyone is in the same position here, Tasty Bacon. 1 Vein Crystal turret each.
1 Vein Crystal turret each. Excellent decision from the side of Salty Potatoes. As soon as they got the first kill and they recognized that the members of Historis were backing off, they didn't try and chase. They didn't try and look for kills. They immediately turned onto the Kraken to take that out and minimize the damage it could do. That is very heads-up play from the side of Salty Potatoes. And now, like you mentioned, Dowsy, we are on even footing with 1 turret remaining on each side. In 3 seconds, it will be all 6 players alive and ready to fight. Look at Sneaky, though, with his infusion. Has a full weapon build, crystal infusion, just to try and get a little bit of extra time in the stealth, a little bit of extra duration on the active camo traps, trying to set up a...
Just switch it over.
Okay. He had it for a while.
He did. So perhaps he's just changing his tactics in fights there, Tasty Bacon. Either way, this next fight pretty much dictates the game. And you can see from everyone's full build on both teams. From KTL, though, taking a lot of poke. Gauntlet's going to go down, and that is so devastating for the side of Historis because those gauntlets have been the reason they've been winning fights. Now it's been used defensively. They're trying to take Class out, but Class sees a tanky Grace, and he doesn't care. Now Sneaky and the Joker have full reign to move forward and look for damage.
Though.
They will decide to back off, it seems, but Historis can't really afford to be missing those gauntlets and using them defensively.
Honestly, I think they're fine having used that defensively. They were able to get so much damage onto Class that Class had to use his fountain. Everything other than the gauntlet and the wait for it is still available for the side of Historis, but they are going to be recalling just to top up a bit. This could be dangerous, not having Easy to Kill You with them. The Gauntlet's going to be up in about 30 seconds. You got to figure that's what they're going to be looking for, is the Gauntlet to be readily available before they go for another fight. But Kraken is up as well.
It is, and this is where I'm not even sure the Kraken means anything, to be honest, because it's a fighting point. But if you get an ace, you just go and finish the game. Huge poke onto Ostru and from KTL as well. Salty Potatoes now can use this to their advantage. Will they just go straight towards the base and stop the recalls? Yes, they are. Easy to Kill You, in a bit of trouble. Ostru taking all the poke. Gauntlet goes through, but everyone escapes. Class just in the middle of the fight, and that's from KTL going very low. Has to use the fountain to heal himself. Salty Potatoes, they need to make a decision right now, and I think they're doing it. It's going towards the Kraken. If they can burst this down and take it before the fight breaks out, or even bait Historis into a fight right now, then they might just be able to win the game. Here comes Ostru, sneaky, just looking to try and land the poke. They need to move in now, Historis, or this is GG. It could be a steal coming through, but it's going to go over to Salty Potatoes, and Class going to get right deep into the action and look for the fight. Sneaky throwing those glimmer shots out. Divine Intervention saves his life. Here's the Dragon's Breath, and Easy to Kill You's been burnt alive. Ostru trying to escape from KTL going low. The Joker going to focus down this Arden whilst the Sky just throws out damage, but the damage almost kills the Joker. Sneaky,
low energy.
The job. Ostru's on top of Joker, but Divine Intervention on top again, and he gets the hill. That's Arden dead. Ostru trying to find a kill, but he's not going to be able to. And with Sneaky pushing into the base, Salty Potatoes have done it despite the Superwoman grace, the blunder that was Class flying across the map into the enemy base. They get the ace and they take game one of this series.
What a game one we just got treated to, Dowsy. This was absolutely incredible. Both sides playing very, very well, but in the end, it is those divine interventions that were able to keep the members of Salty Potatoes healthy enough to fight. Oscar Macero just unfortunately not having enough energy down the stretch to try and turn that back around. Easy to Kill You, maybe the positioning a little bit off at times, but an incredible game to kick off this series.
Absolutely amazing, and I think people were pretty much ruling out Historis from, the rumblings I've been hearing on the underground. A lot of people have been saying that this should be an easy Salty Potatoes victory. And yes, they do take game one of this series, but it is not an easy victory. They fought for that one there, Tasty Bacon Scoundrel. What an incredible game.
Yeah, fantastic, guys. I'm going to quickly just try and get sort the in-game sounds out. So, Dalsy and Tasty Bacon, I'll bring up the API scene for you guys to have a look, and I know you guys won't be able to see it, but you talk about, I'm just going to talk about these guys and these players, and I want you to really expand on who really sort of brought Historis Esports to an almost victory here.
Yeah, well, I'm going to load that one up so I can just have a look at some of the information there. Looking at the damage dealt across the game, we knew it was going to be the case, Tasty Bacon, but the numbers don't lie. Ostru Marasu with 31,500 damage. When you compare it to Easy to You on that Vox, just 18,000, practically double what his teammate had. It's something that I think Historis are going to have to change, because if they get a bit more of a damage threat from Easy to Kill You, then the team fights are going to be a lot easier for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That was the key. Was Easy to Kill You went down fairly early in there was only like 2 team fights that they lost decisively, and in both of them it was because Easy to Kill You got caught out a little bit and went down early. That is something that if they can just take care of that, they can just get that solved. I think this game goes over to the side of Historis Sports, because the positioning from Sky and the damage coming out from Osmacero, the plays early on that were set up were so good. It's almost upsetting to not see it rewarded. But then, talking about the damage, you look on the other side, that damage differential between the 2 carries isn't really there. It's 36,000 and 30,000 for Sneaky and the Joker, respectively. So that's really literally your difference in those final team fights.
Yeah, and I think that everyone knows that Salty Potatoes is a fantastic team. I did a bit of stalking of them on VGPro.gg, and noticed that they've been scrimming the teams like Fnatic, and they've actually been winning in their scrims against Fnatic. It's just publicly listed there as private draft now. I don't know what to pull from that. There's 4 there from 22 days ago, and they won 3 of the 4. So clearly a very strong team, and clearly a team that we expect to be in the top 3, fighting those challenge battles, Tasty Bacon. But Historis, even if they lose here today, they do still continue in the playoffs, because there is an elimination bracket still in the playoffs, a double elimination tournament the playoffs is, and a second chance to fight for one of those spots.
All right, guys, I've done what I can without sort of making you guys bear with my technical aspects. I've just done some basic stuff to try and get the in-game sound working. So fingers crossed that it becomes that case when we get to the game. So I'm just waiting for Salty Potatoes to confirm they are ready for draft, and then we'll get ready. I know that the Historis are ready. Just going to double check with them. Okay, everyone's ready for draft. We are going to get this draft underway, ladies and gentlemen. And here we go, jumping in, double bans again. Do you reckon that Sky is a threat, Dalsey?
Certainly. Is it a threat that you ban? I'm not sure. Looking at the draft coming out of Salty Potatoes, I noticed they did something pretty clever. They banned the Idris. They forced, because of Sneaky's prowess on Black Feather, the Black Feather ban, and then they took the Kestrel. Those are the top 3 heroes as listed on VG Pro for Easy to Kill You. So he was forced onto a 4th best hero, being the Vox, and that's probably why you're seeing that his damage output wasn't anywhere near as high as he should have been.
I'm just going to feed back to the admins, as I think for this draft, the Salty Potatoes are on the wrong side. So I'm just going to feed back to admins. Salty Potatoes should be on B side, and they're currently on A side in this draft, or so they have told me in the in chat. So I'll just let them all know that that's the case. I think I'm just waiting to double check. The teams seem confused themselves. So I'm not sure what's going on. The teams seem pretty confused. I will just clarify, guys, so I can understand what exactly is going on.
Yeah, we're on it. Looks like our admins are about to fix the draft anyway for us and remake it so that everyone can load on into it. Yeah, no, Sky, pretty huge, pretty scary from Ostrom Marasu, but to be honest, in the late game fights, Tasty, I didn't really actually feel like the damage from him was enough to really justify it. And these gauntlets from KTL need to be hitting 1 or at least 2 of the carries, because that is when Ostrom Marasu is able to really get the most damage output.
Yeah, I mean, I was still a big fan of this guy. I think in the late game it was almost able to win some fights, just didn't quite have enough energy. And again, not having the extra damage from your lane carry, I think, was the main issue for them in these late game team fights. But as far as banning it away, I was like, let me go check out Astamacero, see how much of that Sky they play. Not a lot. It's rather surprising. It has a very high win rate for them, but most of those games are in Blitz. And if you look in their ranked history, Astamacero usually is playing in the captain role. So very interesting stuff from Astamacero to be that talented on the Sky and not even have it be one of their most played heroes on their account.
Sorry, I'm face palming for many reasons, guys. You guys keep going. I will just make sure these guys know what their logins are.
No worries. Well, looks like they will be looking in just a second. There was a bit of a miscommunication between some of the players and VGL staff earlier. That's why we were delayed in starting up the broadcast today. So just making sure that everyone gets on top of that a little bit.
Okay. They've told me they're in. We're going to start the draft. Let's go. We're getting there, boys. Okay.
Perfect.
Draft has begun. Hopefully everybody is on the right side. Hopefully everybody knows what they're doing, and we are good to get this one underway.
And Historis are up first on that A side to ban, so we'll have to see what they decide to prioritize here. They do have the opportunity to kind of go for one of these OP heroes.
We have liftoff, boys.
Whatever you consider OP heroes. Grumpjaw is going to be banned. I wonder if you ban the Baron, you do. So now you either prioritize Idris or you prioritize Grace. And I think that I would prefer to prioritize your carry pick here, just to ensure that Easy to Kill You is on a comfortable hero.
Yeah, I mean, if they go for the Idris and then just later on pick up the Sky again, I think that'd be a really strong draft for them, because at that point you, once more, don't really have to worry about the Grace anywhere near as much. So they are going to go ahead and pick up the Idris.
And now Grace can be picked up, so there's no real loss, I think, from the side of Salty Potatoes with the way this draft goes. Oh, okay.
Here we go. There we go. And that's actually likely. I mean, look, this is I almost feel this is a preemptive pick for Blackfeather, given that this still could be CP Idris, in which Weapon Power Blackfeather is often considered a bit of a counter to Weapon Power Idris, because Idris doesn't do very well against melee bruisers in lane who can kind of just out-trade him and tank damage. So, I mean, Sneakies might be picking this up as a way of saying, well, if this is CP Idris, we can flex it to the jungle for CP Blackfeather jungle.
Yeah, let me just check some statistics. It seems like the majority of games from Easy to Kill You are Weapon Power, but that's not to say that he hasn't played a couple of CPs. So that flex is there. It's available. It does kind of change the hero dynamics. Sky will be banned, respect being shown by Salty Potatoes, and it does give the opportunity to Historis to take away that Grace.
But also Sky considered one of the best counters to Blackfeather. So, I mean, it hits two birds with one stone.
Like it.
Like it a lot. Let's see what they're going to go ahead and pick up as their second pick. I would expect to see them take the Arden away. Again, it's just a very strong captain, and it takes away a hero that from KTL is obviously fairly comfortable on. It's exactly what they're going to do.
So Arden comes through, and now it's up for Historis to send their draft into the completion zone. Like the way I said that, completion zone, yeah. And they're going to pick up the Lyra here. Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore, Tasty Bacon. Exasperated. Exasperated is the word to describe me. It's going to be Lyra locked in, and now they're looking for something to round out this composition. It will give an indicator as to whether they're going to go Weapon Power or CP Idris as well with this final pick off the draft here, Darcy.
I'm expecting a role swap from the entirety of the side of Historis. I'm looking through what these guys prioritize, what they play on a regular basis. And Ostromarasu is a captain main, but obviously fantastic at Sky. From KTL is a carry main. Easy to Kill You, likes to switch between the carry and the jungle position. So, I'm heavily expecting that we see them switch roles here, but maybe they stick to it. I don't know. It just seems odd that these guys are playing different roles competitively than what they like to do in solo queue. Regardless, Lyra and Scarf going to be picked up by Historis.
Now we're waiting for the final lock in here. Tasty Bacon, if you were Salty Potatoes, what would you lock in? Given that you now know it's Weapon Power Idris, you might want to give Sneaky the Blackfeather lane Weapon Power. No? Okay, here we go.
Alright, Vox going to be the pick.
CP Jungle Vox.
CP Jungle Vox.
Yeah.
Why not?
That has such a great success rate historically.
I know a lot of players right now are wanting to play it when they have a good captain. I don't actually anticipate it's CP. That's just a joke. It is going to be like a CP Blackfeather jungle, but that would be pretty hilarious if it was all a bait and Sneaky sticks to his Blackfeather.
Just double checking that both teams are ready for...
Maybe Salty Potatoes do the role swap, give Sneaky the Blackfeather in the jungle.
Yeah.
That could be the case. That could be the case. So while we get into game here, gentlemen, I'm going to just give viewers a little inkling as to what we've got coming up in the day. Salty Potatoes versus Historis Esports are here and now. We're going to have Calamity Reborn versus XLVG. And we're also going to have Team Queso versus Waves. So those are some games that we've got coming up today. All of them are going to be fantastic. I think the Calamity Reborn one will be really cool to see because XL have played fantastically throughout this tournament so far. But Calamity Reborn, without a doubt, the number one seed for a reason. They have Leon, Aeon, and Rioran. I think. Oh no, Rikameza. Is it Rioran? Oh, rear end. Okay, they have rear end Leon and Aeon.
Rikumeza's in the VG8.
Rikumeza is in the VG8. Right, we are into game, ladies and gentlemen. That means it's time for me to peace out and hand it over to Darcy and Bacon.
Thank you very much, Scoundrel. Seems like my anticipated role swap hasn't come through. They are going to stick to these competitive roles they've defined for themselves. Very intriguing from the side of Historis. But they've got a composition, or at least heroes that they seem comfortable on. That can definitely go a long way.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, the difference between their sort of solo queue and what they're playing here today is it's very intriguing because I mean I mentioned it after the last game. I looked up Oscar Macero and I was like, oh, let's see, is this just like a Sky one trick? And I was like, oh, he just doesn't play Sky at all in ranked. Like it was very bizarre to see, but he had such a mastery of that hero, like played it exceptionally well. And now from KTL going to be trying to slow up the jungle start for Salty Potatoes, but not really going to be dissuading them from much at all. Let's see how Austin Macero can do with this jungle scarf. But I'm mostly going to actually be keeping my attention up on the lane.
Yeah, I think for Easy to Kill You, he's going to really be looking to try and just survive the early levels. You know, I play this matchup countless times every day, Vox versus Idris, and there are chances for you to find damage onto Vox in the early levels, but Vox will take over the lane. Eventually, he will take over the lane unless it's for, you know, intervention from the captain position. Right now, Easy to Kill You is laying down a lot of damage because Sneaky's decided not to go a Book of Eulogies as his starting item. That damage is not going to be recuperated by Sneaky whatsoever. Chasing to the jungle. KTL in a little bit of trouble. Looks like he might actually be in a lot of trouble as he is getting tagged right down. That goop has really slowed the pressure, but there it is. First blood for Joker as he just dives on forward, the on guard. And now they're going to look to try and steal everything away. Easy to Kill You has roamed down. He's not going to find anything though. Idris just not able to chase. And this is a huge mistake from Easy to Kill You moving down because look at the CS that's crashing into the turret. He is losing it all.
Yeah, at the very least, they did prevent the members from Salty Potatoes from stealing the entirety of their jungle. It only got one camp out of it. Easy to Kill You did take the gold, the ambient gold that went with those back camps. So he is going to miss out on a little bit of CS, but shouldn't actually be that much. As you see, once he finishes off this minion, he will be tied with Sneaky at
He's 3 CS 24 at the moment. 3 CS behind due to the fact that that wave just crashed in. He's now roaming down. And he's not going to lose anything. Trust me, though, losing any CS against Vox is terrible. Now, Joker moving on in. Ostromarasu is dead. That Scarf just not able to survive. It seems like for the side of Historis, the early game aggression that was there previously has completely faded. They're losing on the jungle front. And it seems like they've lost control of the lane as well, as Easy to Kill You has been giving up pressure in that area as well.
And it's just tough to keep that kind of early game pressure up when you have a Scarf. That's why we're seeing Salty Potatoes be so aggressive in the jungle. Scarf is very, very weak early on, is very susceptible to invades. And with this Black Feather and Arden combo, they can get in easily, aggressively onto Osmacero and just try and steal away and force him out of this jungle. So I really like the fact that Salted Potatoes are actually looking for these plays. Easy to Kill You in the lane is in some trouble.
Just a little bit. Okay. Looks like he's going to survive, get away nice and safely. But Sneaky is starting to hit this point where, you know, that early lead, yes, it's only 3 CS, but it's the tempo as well. Sneaky's been able to go back. He's had full control. He's been able to, you know, find himself a 10 CS lead. And he's going to hit his Poison Shiv very quickly. He might even go Tension Bow depending on how aggressive he wants to be. And Easy to Kill You is not ever going to catch up until he hits his 3rd damage item. But if the Joker plays this right, then he's going to kind of prevent Easy to Kill You from ever being able to threaten Sneaky's Vox. So, you know, it doesn't look like much right now, Tasty, but just from personal experience and knowing how this goes, like, it's going to be so difficult for Easy to Kill You to actually have an impact from this point onwards.
Yeah, well, it's also going to be very difficult for Ostamacero to have an impact for quite some time as well, just because of the nature of the hero that they are playing. And if the aggression keeps up from the side of Salty Potatoes, which I really hope it does, you want to continue to pressure as much as you possibly can. Pedal to the metal all the way down. You have to keep applying pressure, otherwise you give opportunities for the Idris, for the Scarf to slowly start to catch up. I like that they're shoving in this wave every single time they have the opportunity to do so. On the side of Historis, though, they are doing as much as they can to get gold onto Easy to Kill You. They're having him rotate down, take these jungle camps with Ostromacero, giving the camps to Ostromacero, but then letting Easy to Kill You pick up that gold.
And the rotation comes in from Joker. Lots of poke going down onto Class there. Salty Potatoes, not going to be too concerned about taking it. It's 2 kills right now at this 6-minute mark over to the side of Salty Potatoes, but it is a pretty decent lead for just 2 kills because of the fact that, jungle camps have been stolen, lane is winning as well. If you look at the difference between the jungle as well, Joker about to hit his level 7, Ostamarasu has only just hit his level 6, and this is meaning that the Joker's going to hit level 8 way before this Scarf. He's going to overdrive his on point, get that increased range, become a huge poking threat. Look at him just diving in. They feel so comfortable. Salty Potatoes are going for the kill, and Easy to Kill You is going to have to use that Shimmer Strike to escape. Defensively jumps away. Historis popped their Fountain there. Fountain's still available for Classed, and I wonder what Salty Potatoes decide to do now, because sieging the turret's not so easy with a Scarf. Perhaps they can go elsewhere on the map. Looks like they've split, and the Joker is currently dancing. Ostamarasu, though, he oversteps. He goes down so quickly. Wait for it, goes out from Sneaky, but doesn't quite connect. Easy to Kill You, tries to look for an assassination, but he doesn't have the damage. Maybe he's now dead. We'll have to see, as Joker is looking for an on point, but he's tanking the turret. Class chasing on forward, and Class is just able to finish the job. They're looking for an ace here. They won't find it because Ostamarasu is up, but the 3 kills go their way. They do lose Sneaky in the process, but that is about it.
And I think they're going to be perfectly fine with that trade, just sort of flexing a little on their opponents, able to find a lot of kills. That's going to be some good gold gained as well. A little bit of damage onto the turret. And again, these leads, even though, like you were mentioning, they're not huge leads, but it still leads in every aspect of the game. And that's going to just continue to grow as long as Salty Potatoes keeps the pressure up and does not allow time for Easy to Kill You and Ostromaceru to get themselves back into this game. And you can see, even when they push up this huge minion wave, Sneaky and Class get there immediately to clear that out and then swing the lane back in their favor once more. Constant pressure is the name of the game. An infusion going to get picked up by the Joker, level 8. Sneaky has one active at level 6 as well. So very clearly, Salted Potato is going to be looking to just keep this pressure on. They know exactly what they need to do in order to ride this wave of momentum that they have.
And they have Gauntlet now as well. This Gauntlet is going to be huge for them. That's why you see these infusions coming out, because level 8 means overdriven on point, which means so much poking advantage. Classed with that Gauntlet means that team fights can be dictated by the side of Salty Potatoes. Look at Ostamarasu just losing his life. Fountain pop to keep him alive. Salty Potatoes, they're looking pretty healthy. Yes, low on energy for Sneaky. He's going to have to hold on to, some of those jumps for a little bit. But this turret is now under siege, and with those on points, with the attack speed Sneaky has, they can really just chunk it down. We'll have to see if Classed will go for an engagement. Look at those on points. They just need to pull the trigger here, go as a unit, but they might wait for the minion wave to crash on in, because it doesn't hurt to just keep, poking down whilst they get ready for this turret. Ultimately, that is the goal. Turret for Salty Potatoes. But if they get a triple kill at the same time, they're not going to regret it. Easy to Kill You, huge mistake, jumps on in, loses his life, and that's going to be Gauntlet trapping everyone in. Dragon's Breath comes out from Marasu, but Joker is just going to go back and find a double kill from KTL, tries to use the portal to escape, and he will actually be able to, as no one's following the portal. They can't get through it because the minions blocking it, which is something that you don't see very often, but that is not going to be a problem. They get the turret, they get 2 kills, and they're going to start up this gold miner as well.
Yeah, very, very good pressure coming out from Salty Potatoes. The Joker was just constantly hitting these on points. At one point, hit a 3-man on point, just chunking health away from the side of Historis. And then still having that fountain. They went in
Historis thought they had a chance to maybe try and turn it around, but the Fountain then comes out, heals up everyone on Salty Potatoes. They take that turret, they take the gold mine, and their gold lead as a result has jumped up to almost 4,000 gold in their favor.
I think if you
Over
thought you had a
4,000.
chance, then that might be kidding yourself. Perhaps it's more, they did everything in desperation to save themselves.
I
but it
think
wasn't
that
enough.
if the Fountain wasn't there, I think they had a chance.
Yeah, but
I
they
think
knew the
just didn't-
Fountain was there, so it's whatever. This turret does take a lot of damage in the process. It's actually going to lose its life. A Spitfire just sneaks its way through to finish the job. That is a slight error from Salty Potatoes because they've just gifted 300 gold each into the pockets of Historis. They are going to continue pushing forward and putting the pressure on. Silence goes out. Easy to kill you. He is going very low. The Shimmer Strike is used, and this Dragon's Breath is just basically going to have no effect. Historis, once more in desperation, trying to defend themselves, but in fact, this time, they don't find anything for it. And now for Salty Potatoes, they have an opportunity to lay in some damage onto this turret. They know that key ultimates are down. They know the Fountain is no longer there, and they have their Gauntlet just coming back up. We'll have to see if Class lands a Gauntlet. There it is. Falls out. Oh, that's beautiful. That's going to be 1 kill going over. They stop the portal as well, and they're going to just be able to take this turret and Ostamarasu's life in the process. It is just a rinse repeat. In fact, will KTL die? Sneaky wants the kill. He gets the ace. Can he escape? Yes, he can. Oh, Sneaky. Just rubbing the salt in the wound. But that's why you're called Salty Potatoes.
And that's going to be a third turret picked up for Salty Potatoes as well. They are just absolutely dominating this game, and unfortunately this is what happens when you let a top tier team like this get an advantage early. They will just take that inch that you give them and stretch it out into a mile, and Salty Potatoes looking absolutely dominant this time around. The early game pressure was what got Historis Sports into a very good position in game number 1, but they unfortunately just, because of a really, really well thought out draft by the side of Salty Potatoes. Like, I'm very thoroughly impressed with their drafting this game. It forced the side of Historis Esports onto picks where they couldn't have that early game aggression, and it is absolutely paying off for the Potatoes.
Right, and I think from the side of Historis, this Scarf. Okay, never mind. Easy to kill. He goes in, and now he's going to take huge chunks of damage in the process. The on points landing from KTL, but here's the wait for it going out. Doesn't connect. Dragon's Breath's going to go out. Do they have No, they don't have a broken myth on this Scarf, so it really just doesn't do anything. There's a Shimmer Strike. Joke's in a bit of trouble. He might have to land an on point to save his life, and he does. Boom, complete, and that is the ace for Salty Potatoes. I think the drafting from Salty Potatoes is really well thought out, but to be honest, this Scarf pick, it just doesn't make sense from Ostamarasu. It doesn't play Scarf whatsoever in solo queue, like at all. So why would you
to be
bring it
fair
out
though,
here unless you play it on a Smurf? And it just
I was gonna say, to be fair, he doesn't really play Sky either. The only Sky games he has are in Blitz games. So
Sure.
And he played that extremely well, but this is looking like the end.
It is the end. It's very much the end. And Sneaky's just looking to get a couple extra kills before they finish the game. Really wants to push himself to that 8th kill, but his team will finish the Vein Crystal and prevent it. I think that, when we talk about the draft, it made sense. The Idris first, make sure that Easy to Kill You was on a comfortable hero. I was completely against his early rotations, but I made that known, and you can kind of see why he wasn't ever able to match the Vox. You need to get ahead of Vox, and to get ahead of Vox's Idris, you need to stay in lane, you need to hard farm, and you need to have a captain who can put the pressure onto Vox. And unfortunately, because of the fact that they had a Scarf in jungle who's just so squishy and so vulnerable, can't really stack up against the Black Feather, the captain had to be heading on over to the jungle to try and protect Ostamarasu, but he wasn't able to. So there you go. Those are kind of the elements that stack up against Historis, and that is going to be Salty Potatoes heading on over to the Winners Bracket Finals and securing themselves a spot in the Challenge Battles.
Yes, they are, Dalcy. Salty Potatoes will find themselves in the Challenge Battles, ready to go to fight up against one of the VG8 teams at the end of this split. So, next we've got up, it's going to be XL versus Calamity. Now, I'm going to show you guys the playoff bracket so you can see what it looks like now, given that win And you'll see here, think this is what it's going to look like. It's now, you see Salty Potatoes in the winners bracket final. We also have Historis Esports down in the bottom side. When we get extra results, we will update those as soon as we can. But we are now going to be preparing for Calamity versus XL, a big match for both teams. Calamity's Leon's team expected to take the first place in this tournament, and XL, who have been performing excellently, will be on their way trying to prove everybody wrong as well. So, as we head into the next series, we will see you very, very shortly.
Thought another goal is all we needed. Taking second chances till we bleed. And when all the love had been depleted, we had but no choice to concede. As the stars were dancing in their line, past that we could never run. Oh, they were dancing way up high. Stars were dancing in their line. The future we will never run. Dirt on our feet was bone dry. It was bone dry.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about the debated on the timer there. We are just waiting to get everybody in the lobby and ready to go. I believe both teams are ready. I think Leon wanted 20 seconds, but I believe 20 seconds is up now, so that should be good and ready to go. And so when both teams have connected, we will start the draft and get it underway. Gentlemen, this is going to be a big game. Calamity Reborn versus XL. I mean, obviously it's got Leon there. I think Leon speaks for himself. He is one of the best players, if not the best player to have ever existed in Vainglory. And just to illustrate these two teams, I'm going to show you the API screen that they have, the versus screen. We have Rioren, Aeon, Leon, Nomad Vagabond, Bong Mabu and Cortez, and those are their respective solo queue stats at this point in time. So again, really good players. I know that I think at least 4 out of 5 of these players, maybe 4 out of 6, maybe 5 out of 6 have at least hit VG Gold this season. So this is going to be a really high quality game between some incredible players. I'm just going to double check that the teams are ready to go. Gentlemen, how much are you looking forward to this game?
I've been looking forward to it for a long time. You know, I think that XL have been performing excellently, but I know that the entirety of the people who watch this Scoundrel have been looking forward to seeing Team Calamity reborn, as it is. You know, obviously these guys, Aeon and Leon, used to play on the old Team Calamity, and so they brought Rio in, and now it's Calamity Reborn, looking to make it into the VG8, and really there's no reason they shouldn't.
yeah, the teams are ready for draft, so we are going to get that underway, and it has started. So, there we go. And it is going to be Calamity Reborn on A side, and XL will be on B side. This will be an insane and very tense game between two incredible teams.
Ooh, there you go. I know that Calamity Reborn reckon that it's just going to be a quick 2-0. So.
Oof! Wow, there you go.
And I know that the side of XL are very much considering this the hardest game that they have to play in the VGL. So, and you know the thing is, whoever loses this match is very much likely to still make it all the way through the lower bracket and towards the challenge battles. So these are two fantastic teams heading against each other.
So Arden locked in first here after a Grayson Grumpjaw ban. Does leave open Baron for Bong Mabu, but that might be a bait. Remember, they could ban Idris following that, however, so there are plenty of things to decide for here for XL. But an Arden first pick, a huge priority for Calamity Reborn. Actually, XL were considering banning Arden because of, I think it's rear end stats on Arden's is just insane. So is it rear end, Darcy? You'd be able to, yeah. Yep. Rear end stats on Arden are just insane. So XL were actually considering banning that. But the first pick priority for Calamity here is put it right on a kilter as XL start to buy into their bonus time.
Very peculiar that they are using so much bonus time right now to decide what they want as their first pick. Perhaps they weren't anticipating Baron to be let through the draft. Instead, they're going to go for a Lyra here. Now we're on to the second round of bans, and this is where things get interesting because for the side of XL, they don't actually have to ban Baron here whatsoever. They can look to ban something else, and if they don't ban Baron, then we'll have to see what Calamity Reborn pressure with their second ban.
More bonus time going to be eaten into here as they try and figure out what they want to do. It is going to be the Idris taken off the board. Kind of expected Idris to be their second ban. There goes the Baron. So now we've kind of gotten back to where we are normally at this stage, just with a couple of interesting first picks.
It's going to be Vox. Yeah, Vox locked in for Bon Mabu here.
Yeah, it's really strong, the Vox pickup here, because it kind of reduces the choices for Leon. Not really. Like, Leon's very great. He's fantastic on every hero, and I actually reckon this is going to be a glaive in the lane. Not that really helps us. It could be either or all.
But glaive Kestrel
either of these
are the choices.
Can go lane or jungle, but I would expect a Crystal Kestrel with a weapon glaive in the lane. I feel like that's just the stronger of the pairings that you could have with those two versus having a weapon Kestrel in the lane with the cooldown utility glaive that we've seen so much of. So I'm hoping it will be a Crystal Kestrel with a weapon glaive and a pedal for the final pick. That is a bold pickup to make in the playoffs of VGL.
Goodness, and into a glaive as well. Very, very bold pickup for me. And Cortez, interesting that they give Cortez the priority final pick, by the way. He has been, most would say, the main carry for XL in these games, and they have given him Petal in this first game of the series. That is a corker. That is definitely a curveball. So I'm going to make sure these teams are ready, gentlemen, and discuss this draft.
I don't know how the Petal counters. Perhaps it's the Frostburn can counter weapon powered glaive. And really
it's good against Kestrel, right? So people often say that Petal is good against Kestrel because it soaks glimmer shots.
Stealth. Right. Like I appreciate that, but I don't think it's worth picking into Kestrel just alone. You have to be thinking it must be good into glaive at the same time. Because there's other picks you could go for. There's Tucker. There's you could just contest the Kestrel with a Sky. Cortez's Sky is fantastic. The Samuel. So there's so many different options there. So my assumption is that this Petal lock-in is more about the glaive than anything. But looking at where the orientation of the heroes, Leon's going to be playing Kestrel in the lane, which means Aeon's going to be playing a glaive jungle.
Yes, indeed. Let's have a look at this head-to-head stats again before we head into the game, as everything is just starting to load up. You can see Cortez hasn't played much, or hasn't had much success or played much Petal this season. I know from personal experience I haven't seen too much of Cortez's Petal, so I can't really make too many comments on it. But Bongbabu, outside of that, outside of those 3 heroes he's got, I have seen him playing quite a lot of Vox. Most laners worth their salt play Vox at the moment, so I think this is going to be a big game for both of these teams, and it's now time to hand over to Dalsy and Tasty Bacon to guide us through what could be the game of the tournament between XL and Calamity Reborn.
And I genuinely think XL were anticipating. Oh, wow, okay. So, Leon's switching to the jungle. Aeon's going into the lane. So, the setup for this team is Aeon jungling, Leon carrying. But they have switched it over. So, Leon's going to be playing a Crystal Kestrel from the jungle, which means that for XL, their draft is still complete. It still makes sense. This role swap from the side of Calamity is kind of what makes them a fairly strong team, is that most of their players are very good at multiple roles.
Yeah, and the very, very versatile players, very talented players, but right now Riren going to be trying to disrupt this jungle. Leon's going to rotate over as well.
Oh, he
steals it.
And now Leon's come in to just land down these glimmer shots, reloads. Nomad Vagabond going very low. Riren has his Vanguard up soon, but it is going to be the heal coming through and just preventing any further engagement. They are going to move up to the lane, it seems, Cortez, to put the pressure onto Aeon. He has his Afterburn available. I'm not sure you're going to find a kill here. He does trampoline forward, and that is it. Aeon just jumps away instantly, and he's going to be able to kill up easily.
Alright, so a successful steal to start off for the side of Calamity, but not going to be a massive impact on the game as a whole just yet. I'll see if they continue to keep that aggression up, continue to try and steal camps away, but for now, I'm going to keep our eyes on Aeon and Bongbabu up in the lane. As, the CS numbers are going to be very interesting. As you mentioned last game, it's very important to make sure you stay at least on par, if not ahead of an opposing Vox.
Yeah, no, and it is it's going to be very hard for these guys to I think to really be able to contest this composition. I'm trying to work out why this Petal has been picked, and I'm not entirely sure I understand it, because I just don't think that you pick Petal to counter CP Kestrel. I think there's so many other picks that are capable of doing so. So, the Petal must be about the Frostburn trying to slow down this composition who's going to want to be charging on your face. That's the only thing I can think of, but it's very odd. I'm really intrigued as to why Cortez has gone this route.
Well, either way, it is going to be what they have to play through, see if they can make it work. The Petal is a pick that it's very, very much a sort of polarizing pick. Like, it feels like there's some people that just absolutely love the pick, think it's incredibly strong, and then other people that think it's like one of the worst heroes in the game at all times, no matter what. So it'll be interesting to see how this one goes. But right now, Leon and Riren just going to consistently being slightly aggressive, not full-on aggression, but still stealing away a camp or two here and there, just finding small little advantages.
Small advantages are good, but look at the gold that's been stacked up already just due to CS. Kind of going over towards Leon and over towards Aeon. It's 10 CS currently deficit in the lane, which is a little bit insane because Bongbabu hasn't been pressured really. So these are last hits being missed rather than last hits, kind of being contested. But in the jungle, Cortez has been put pretty far behind. WCS, and oh gosh, Bongbabu is in trouble. Can he escape? Oh, he can! Nomad's blocking up these glimmer shots, but Nomad, he's just about able to escape. Nomad has a bit of a habit of doing a great job of blocking and saving your life, but then overstaying in the process far longer than he needs to. This time, though, he is able to just save Bongbabu.
Yeah, so Bongbabu able to get out alive, but again, not at the cost of losing out a little bit. And still just these slight little advantages that the side of Calamity are finding. It's led to now about 1,000 gold lead in their favor. Let's see if they continue to increase it. Cortez going to be starting off with a Frostburn. So really just going to be trying to pick a target and just stick on them. It is very difficult to escape a pedal that has a Frostburn that is chasing it after you. One of the things that, I mean, we've seen kills happen in VG8 where a pedal just jumps on you, starts attacking, and then just walks along beside you while you try and run away, and there's nothing you can do to get away from the Munions. So it's going to be interesting. Again, Cortez, I think, really needs to make this pick shine in a massive way in order to justify it, but thus far we have not been able to see that.
Cortez can't actually use that, though, this game. If he's trampolining forward, then there's going to be an afterburn to knock him really far back, and Leon will just blow him up. So, you know, Cortez is going to be more facilitating kite this game with the Frostburn to slow down this Glaive and this Kestrel to try and provide space for Bongmabu through just the slow the item provides. Makes things really difficult for him. That's also, you know, kind of the reason that this pedal pick is questioned, is because, you know, how are you going to be able to trampoline into a Glaive and a Kestrel who's standing nearby? It's a death trap for you almost always, and so it makes me question the idea. But Nomad's been called out here. Never mind. Leon is going to miss those glimmer shots, which means that Nomad should be all right. Not too much damage being dealt. He'll be able to heal that up fairly nicely. I do like the fact that Calamity are stealing away all this jungle, though. It is what's facilitating this gold lead that they have. Cortez still very far behind as far as CS is concerned, and it's almost 20 in the lane for Aeon, as this Glaive threatens any carry, basically, from staying far back from the CS, as he can threaten an afterburn at any point. So you have to really respect him and sometimes just give up CS. This turret, very low. Bongmabu walks into the one-shot. Thought he was nice and safe. And Calamity looking pretty good to continue pushing their advantages a little bit further. Tasty is mute, but it's okay because I have the voice of a god, apparently, according to
apologies. Unfortunately, there's a bit of background noise that I wanted to make sure did not come through. But so even though there really hasn't been any like explosive action in this game, it's still just been really good. Oh, there we go.
All right, Tasty Bacon. Nice caster's curse. No explosive action. Bongmabu will disagree.
Oh, well, the turret's going to go down as well. Gauntlet.
This is disastrous for XL. They are losing the control completely right now. That Gauntlet, whilst didn't actually facilitate a kill, has meant that XL aren't really in a position to contest a gold miner, which is almost likely to be started up by Calamity very shortly. We'll just have to see if they do decide to go for it. I don't think XL can contest it, but perhaps I'm wrong. Perhaps Calamity don't really feel it's a risk worth taking at this point. Though if you look at the map movements of XL, you can clearly see that the window was there to take it.
Man, excellent job again. Prior to that first blood, there hadn't been much explosive action in this game, but Calamity had been doing a really good job of just constantly putting in pressure, constantly stealing away a couple jungle camps, getting chip damage on the turret, and making it a very easy turret take. Now they're going to go after the gold miner. XL is going to try and get in range to contest.
Oh, Nomad gets almost knocked into an active camo. Does about escape. The gold miner gets disengaged. Aeon's taking a lot of damage. Bongmabu, though, he's in trouble. And Cortez can't really do the work. One shot won't find a target. But Calamity can continue chasing forward as these glimmer shots are just going to tear through the health bars of XL. Cortez gets very close to death with that afterburn threatening, but Leon's charging forward. Bongmabu almost dead. Nomad almost dead. But everyone on XL just about escapes. I know that Leon's not going to be happy with that result.
Yeah, not at all. But at least they are going to go ahead and be able to turn their attention back to this gold miner that sort of went by the wayside during that skirmish. though immense gold payout does eventually get collected by the side of Calamity. They definitely would have liked to have had at least a kill or two picked up from that, though. But excellent play from the side of XL to make sure that that didn't happen, that they didn't give any additional gold over to their opponents. But Calamity still slowly but surely building themselves up a very solid gold lead.
For sure. And Petal from behind is not a good Petal. Her scaling into the late game isn't nearly as much as this Kestrel. She needs to have an impact early, or else the impact she can have late is not quite there. And so for Cortez, he's kind of missing this window of opportunity. Look at Leon. Look at these traps he's placing. Just about, I think, out of range of that scout trap. Maybe it gets vision on it. It's hard to say because we don't have Fog of War enabled, but Leon's just, he's feeling very confident in his ability to walk around the map right now, and there's not really much vision being placed by Nomad. He's not really
Look at that rotation.
itemized towards a contraption. He's not really done much towards it. Cortez, though, they're going to be in trouble if they step onto the active camera. Although they don't, but there it is. They're all inside of it. How are they dodging away from it? Cortez looking to take down Leon. Bongma Boo comes in and gets the last hit. This is a turnaround for XL. They relied so heavily on the active camo traps, but Leon wasn't able to execute, and they're looking for an ace here. The Frostburn slowing down this art, and it's a triple for Bongma Boo.
What a team fight turnaround. Somehow, and that it looked like for sure that was going to be Calamity finding some kills, but as you mentioned, Dowsy, just the ability to dance around that active camo trap for so long, and then when they were finally on top of it, Leon just wasn't able to get the damage out to get the big stun. XL find the ace, find themselves a turret. They are still going to be trailing in this game, but that is going to go a big way towards getting them back into this.
Yeah, no, this is kind of insane. It was just Calamity Reborn thinking that they could easily take the fight by setting up some traps and Leon just blowing them up. As it turned out, they weren't able to do so. That's given a bit of breathing room over to XL, showing that they are able to take team fights off this composition in their current point. But there is still damage being stacked up. Aeon, now 3 damage items. Leon's just finished his second Shatter Glass, which is going to tear through the pedal and the Vox as well. And Cortez, now with the broken myth, is going to be able to stack up some damage. They're really going to have to try and find a team fight sooner rather than later, I feel. Whilst there's no infusions on the side of Calamity. With this gold miner being taken and Aeon so far away, it might be able to be secured. Looking to fall the steal. They are going to find it, but a huge active camo blows up too. Aeon with the double. Cortez trying to find a kill just to make it worthwhile, but he will not be able to. An ace comes through and Calamity able to reverse it.
Yeah, he did get 1 kill, took the kill on the Leon, but with that ace coming through and Aeon still available, they are going to go ahead and push up, try and at least get some damage onto this turret. I don't know if they'll have enough to actually take it with Nomad and Bongaboo both respawning. They are going to stick around to take this turret. So 3 turrets down now in favor of the side of Calamity. But the score line on the scoreboard, the kills are even. That's not what matters, though. It's all about the turrets, all about the gold. And that's where Calamity has a sizable edge.
Yeah, this is pretty crazy that those active cameras can turn fights like that. That's why flares are so important. Nomad's going to have to be basically investing every spare piece of gold into flares, or else he's going to really struggle to stop those kind of fights happening. That's where the contraption kind of helps out, because you get 3 flares from that, and then you hold 5 flares in your inventory, and you can kind of just keep it going for the next shop. XL positioning is kind of the key here. The 1 shot won't be connected from Leon. He has a clockwork, so it is up in 20 seconds, which is kind of crazy.
Alright, so looks like they're trying to set something up here. Not really going to find a whole lot of damage. I feel like they're just waiting for this Kraken to spawn, and they're going to try and force a fight around that objective. On the side of Calamity, it's been a very steady-paced game for the most part. Maybe they're actually going to look for a fight before that. Leon trying to sneak his way on through is going to get spotted eventually on the backside here by the scout trap.
jumping into an active camo. Oh, we've seen that not work so many times. Can they get Leon? It does look like they are going to be able to before Cortez loses his life. How many times have we seen that? Tasty Bacon. You don't portal into active camo traps. It just doesn't work. Ever.
Especially an active camo trap that you saw. Like, they had vision of that trap being down, and they still portaled directly on top of it. Leon able to capitalize, did give up his life for it, but now his teammates going to start working on this Kraken. I don't know if they're going to fully commit to this, though, as they're not taking it particularly swiftly. Looks like they're going to keep going, though. They're playing in a very defensive spot. If anyone from the side of, or if the team of XL comes to contest, I have a feeling that they might back out, but now they're in it for the long haul. The Kraken is so close to being captured.
And Leon is coming right up behind them to try and provide a bit of threat. There's the Kraken, very low. XL going to start taking over it. Leon going to start sniping it away as the Kraken starts moving towards it. The one shot goes out and Leon's able to secure it, but can he escape? Active camo set up. That is huge damage. Aeon blows up Cortez, and now it is just going to be a double kill going over to Calamity. This should be the push towards the end of the game. With 24 seconds, Calamity should be able to take 2 turrets before the respawns come through.
It was absolutely massive, the damage from Leon's active camo traps, with Kraken pushing in, and 10 seconds on the respawns. You gotta figure they're going to look to try and end this game. Kraken still nowhere in sight for the base, but it doesn't matter, the turrets are down.
Bongmabu, huge task ahead of him, but it just can't do the damage. They need to get onto Aeon, not Riran. That is GG over to Calamity Reborn, and you know, I'm still at a loss for words as to why Petal was the choice from Cortez. You know, I've made comments about the theory perhaps behind it. I don't necessarily believe the theory. You have to try and work out what is going through the minds of some of these guys when it comes to this kind of thing. Either way, that is going to be XL really having to reconsider their draft, I think, in Game 2.
Yeah, that's for sure. The draft needs to be a little bit reconsidered, but also just the pace of play. Calamity is a team that is perfectly fine with not looking for fights all the time and just beating you by having superior farming and superior rotations. That was exactly what they did throughout the first 10 to 15 minutes of this game. Was just excellent rotations from Calamity, and then they were at a point where they were just so far ahead that when the team fights broke out, there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity there for XL.
So, we are now ready for our second game. I'm going to make sure the teams are in draft, because this is going to be another big game between XL and Calamity Reborn. That was pretty dominant, you have to say, from Calamity there. It didn't look like it was completely dominant, but they never really had lost a stranglehold of the game. They kind of controlled everything. There was a couple of team fights that XL picked up, but you feel that might have been more in part due to mistakes made by Calamity rather than sort of those proactive moves that we wanted to see from XL. We are going to make sure that both teams are in the chat, and then and in the draft, and then we'll be ready to go. But I think Calamity looking like our first place team here, Darcy.
And everyone expects that. You know, if XL were to lose this second game and drop down into the elimination bracket, no one would blame them. Everyone expects Calamity to go through the VGL, get first place, take out whichever VG8 team they want, and then get first place in VG8. That is what the fans want from Team Calamity Reborn. And so, you know, this is kind of what people want from this team and expect that they are capable of. I think that perhaps the last part of that bucket list perhaps is a overreach, because there are some fantastic European teams right now. But Aeon, Leon, and Riran are very talented players, and they certainly could put their money where their mouth is. So I think that nothing is really unexpected here, but I do think that the draft from XL could definitely be reworked to give them a bit more of a fighting chance.
Okay, we are ready for draft. Speaking of it, so let's get into the draft phase. XL will now be on A side, so they'll have that first pick potential here. Again, I think I do understand the Petal pick. It has been picked into CP Castro quite frequently. People kind of pick it in solo queue quite a lot. I feel like it was a bit off the wall for Cortez, though, that was my personal gripe with it. It's not something that I felt like I've seen Cortez like absolutely crush people on. And if you really want Cortez to be in the best state of mind and best state of play, if you're going to be any chance of beating Leon, because Leon is, like we've said before, probably thought of as the best Vainglory player to have ever played Vainglory. So this is a very, very strong team. He's always been in around competitive, but has never found huge competitive success due to some travel limitations. But other than that, he's a pretty solid player. So XL going to get their first pick, and it's going to be the Arden. They're going to take that away from Riorun. That seems like a sensible move.
I would consider Leon the Apto of Vainglory. Doesn't have the true test of competitive to really prove that he is the best in the game, but certainly has the backings of solo queue dominance, and when he does get some competitive showings, competitive dominance as well. This draft here, we do see that the Arden has been taken away from the side of Calamity Reborn. You mentioned earlier in the previous Scoundrel that XL believe that this Arden is super strong when in the hands of Riorun, but Vox has gone over to the side of Calamity, and obviously Vox a premier carry in the current meta.
Yes, absolutely, and that'll be going over to, well, either Leon or Aeon, because we don't really know just yet. They seem to be able to switch depending on their heroes, and Leon has been known to play pretty much every role competitively. So Dalsy talked yesterday about how teams maybe shouldn't be swapping their roles, but I think when you've got Leon, that's perfectly acceptable. Blackfeather and Baron are the next set of bans, and now we're waiting for Calamity Reborn to make their second pick in this draft phase. You imagine they'll pick up their captain here. Just depends which captain they feel would be a good complement to their team. Grace is banned. Arden already picked. It's going to be the Lance.
I wonder what XL now do here, because their composition kind of revealed so far from Calamity doesn't give much info over. The jungler can really change the way that Calamity want to pick play. So XL realistically just have to go for something that they think is their strongest. Is that going to be a CP Kestrel or a Weapon Power Kestrel? I guess this next pick will decide it. I think I would prefer it to be a Weapon Power Kestrel and put Cortez on something that he can really just showcase his skill as a jungler. CP Kestrel is that hero, and I like this Batiste. The Batiste will punish the Lance on the side of Calamity if he misses an impale, but it also is able to kind of prevent some of this hyper movement that Vox is able to put out.
Yes, and it is something that I know XL have been practicing. But however, there is the option to pick another ranged carry here that has mobility. Ranged carry anyway, so he's going to pick up a bit of ranged carry. And actually, that does make it a little bit harder for Batiste to get into the correct positions. And Burst against Batiste was pretty easy to sort of knock down. It's not got the biggest health pool in the world. So, again, these two drafts come through. I'm going to make sure the teams are ready post-draft here, Dalsy. But, I mean, that's a change in draft. What do you feel about it, Tasty Bacon?
I feel it's definitely a risky draft for the side of XL. As you mentioned, the Batiste is a very squishy hero, and Celeste, I think, is a great counter pick to it. But it's going to be the potential is there for them to just isolate a target and absolutely blow them up with the Gauntlet, the Kestrel, and the Batiste. So it's going to come down very heavily to positioning and making sure on the side of Calamity that you are not getting caught out on your own.
I actually think that the idea of the Batiste was to prevent a Samuel from being picked up, or an assassin like a Tucker. So they succeeded in that, but now they've opened themselves up to Aeon's Celeste. We'll have to see how that plays out at Scoundrel.
Absolutely. So we're going to head on to the game here. You can see the on-screen. We're showing you those wonderful API stats provided by vgpro.gg. Fantastic piece of sort of information that we get from these guys for the benefit of the stream. Going to head into game now, and it's going to be Dalsy again and Tasty Bacon, like it would be anyone different.
They call me the Douse Meister at Scoundrel.
I don't believe anyone does.
Everyone calls it me, Tasty Bacon. It's just a well-known fact. If you say anything, then it's alternate facts coming from you. Either way, I can see what are the truths of this game. To see if any fake news can kind of upset the results here, as XL are going to be looking to really try and take control of the early game, try and push this Celeste down a barrel, kind of make sure that she doesn't ever get to the position where she can carry the game. It's going to be hard, though. They really need to be invading with this Batiste and trying to catch them out. And never mind, it's Calamity pretty much doing the opposite.
Yeah, Calamity playing very aggressive once again. Not going to be able to steal away this Treant.
Riren does get caught in the ordained ethereal prison. He's going to pretty much fall here, I think. I don't think he escapes. He has Impale, could go over wall, but it is going to just be first blood going over to Cortez. And that is what we're saying. This is what they need. Huge result. Now a Vanguard onto Cortez. He can ordain. Maybe they could get a second kill onto Leon. He's going to go very low, and it is going to be a second kill from XL. They are using this Batiste perfectly. They keep up this pressure and snowball the game, then they have a chance at this one.
Yeah, very, very strong early game for them. Kind of surprising that Riren tried to go aggressive into the enemy jungle, knowing that it's a Batiste. Batiste level 1 is incredibly difficult to deal with just because there's so much damage that comes out. He's going to start with that bad mojo, and once he gets those 4 stacks of the soul shards, the damage is absolutely massive. So great job by XL taking advantage of the situation. Now Aeon is going to be joining Riren and trying to go aggressive.
Have to see how this one does go. Nomad Vagabond going very low. Doesn't have much of an escape ability. He just has to kind of rely on there being no further damage from Calamity. So he is able to walk out of that one for now. Looking at the lane, Bongma Bu a little bit more even in this time. Leon is ahead and will remain ahead unless he drops some CS somewhere, as those are just CS that Bongma Bu has missed. Bongma Bu going to have to be playing out of his mind in this series for sure, in this Kestrel. We'll have to see if he's able to live up to the task.
Yeah, I mean, there is the chance there to force Leon to miss some CS if they find another kill onto him, as they did earlier. But right now, down in the jungle, Cortez and Aeon both going to be meeting around this ancient Treant. See if there's a fight for it. Aeon is not spotted just yet. Try and steal this away. Isn't going to get it.
I want to see more aggression coming out of the side of XL. They need to not let up this pressure. Yes, they got 2 kills, but 2 kills now isn't enough. They need to be pushing in, contesting these backs, trying to catch out Leon as much as possible, or else this roster that is a Vox and a Celeste is just going to scale up so hard. It's going to make things very difficult. It's not to say that the late game of XL is bad. It certainly can live up to the measure, but Calamity Reborn, with the star talent they have, will use this late game to their full advantage. Ordained onto Leon. There's the Vanguard pushing people forward. Riren misses his Impale, but Leon's able to escape with some tricky footwork and the pop of the sprint boots as well.
All right, so able to avoid giving any further kills to the side of XL at the start of this game. And XL, like I said, they need to continuously put this pressure on, but Calamity doing a very good job thus far after the first engage of not allowing the aggressiveness to really pay off. It also hasn't been like full-on aggression from the side of XL. It's been more just trying to play a little bit safe and going aggressive in response to Calamity's aggression. I feel like that's a mistake. I feel like with the edge that they have early on, they need to be looking for opportunities, invading the enemy jungle, but they just have not been able to do so.
I have not just yet, but we will see a Shattered Glass now for Cortez coming out. This Batiste going to be in a fairly good spot as far as damage is concerned. Aeon should be looking to complete his Frostburn very shortly. He is a little bit away from it. This could be a power deficit for the side of Calamity that could be abused by XL. They need to move into the lane now, and they need to find something. Here comes Cortez. He has that fearsome shade. Ordained goes down. Riren's in trouble. The Fountain not enough to save his life. And that's going to be Cortez finding his 3rd kill. Now, no Fountain available, and ultimates up for both, for Cortez, sorry. There is a chance for XL to find a 2nd kill here. That Ordained going down onto Leon. They can push him into it with a fearsome shade, but they're not going to use that. Seems like a missed opportunity to me, but it's okay, as they are just going to continue to poke. Ooh, Solar Storm eats through the health bars of Nomad, but it isn't going to be enough to kill him.
All right, so one more kill going the way of Excel, but Calamity actually able to maybe push up onto this turret a little bit if off the heels of that. So again, one of the big things about Vainglory is when you do find a kill, what do you find afterwards? Because if you get just the kill, it doesn't really give you all that much, just a little bit of gold. And it's so not able to get any objectives, not able to steal away any jungle or anything of that sort after finding a kill is something that's a little bit concerning to me about Excel at the moment. They have those 3 kills, but they only have about a 400 gold lead as a result of those kills. So Calamity, they've still got to be feeling perfectly fine about this game at this stage.
They are, but at the same time, XL could just start turning this heat from what it's currently sitting at, which I would say is a nice little 40%, to a little bit higher. There's another Ordained going out. Cortez, no fearsome shade, may use it now as everyone's grouped up and could be hit by it all. That's going to be, though, Nomad losing his life. Wasn't expecting his health bar to drop. Didn't even pop the fountain there. I think XL are holding on to some of these ultimates for too long. Cortez now trapped up. Ordained goes through. His core collapse. He's stun locked and will be a 1-for-1 trade. Ooh, the one shot doesn't quite connect onto Leon. Now it's only Bong Mabu under this turret. Nomad will make his way over very shortly. Still got that fountain there, but this turret is taking a bit of a beating from Aeon. He has his overdrive unlocked on his Heliogenesis.
Overdrive on the Heliogenesis is a massive upgrade for Celeste, able to have just that massive range, the longest range of just about anything in the game. There's a couple other abilities that also have a 9 range, but I don't think any ability has longer than 9 aside from like the global abilities like one shot, one kill. So it's really good pressure that can now come out. Leon is also going to be slowly ramping up, that he has this breaking point throughout these fights. So it's going to get riskier and riskier for the side of Excel the longer this game goes on.
It is. They are putting the pressure on down still. Looking for a gauntlet play as they go on out. They got their Ordained down. Where's the fearsome shade though? Cortez throws it out now, and it does hit Couple. They could have used it to push people into the gauntlet. Oh, Nomad gets sniped by the Solar Storm. That's going to be another kill going over. Riren gets sniped by the one shot. Okay, I see you. The sniper's out on the Halcyon Fold today. What can they get here? XL pushing forward. Bong Mabu with a lot of damage. Ordained catches Leon, and they're going to trade lives. The craziness continues here in the VGL, and it just leaves the junglers to battle it out. If they both die, if they trade lives, then I don't know what I'll do. That'll be a G Willikers for sure.
I mean, the only way they trade is if Cortez goes diving deep under this turret, because Aeon has doesn't have enough energy left. But with Riren coming back up, I don't think it would be an issue to worry about, as Aeon is going to recall. So Cortez just gets that wave pushed up under the turret. Thankfully for Leon, he's not going to miss too many of those. I think he missed 1 or 2 from that wave as a whole before he got there. And we're looking at some big item spikes coming through now. Cortez has a fair bit of gold, along with that Shatter Glass. You got to figure he's going to be looking to get a Clockwork as a second item. That's just kind of the standard Baptiste build. Meanwhile, in the lane, there's Leon with his 3 items, and Bong Mabu with the Sorrow Blade and Tyrant's Monocle. More infusions being picked up by the side of Calamity. Maybe they're going to be looking to force a fight sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they've definitely got the chance to do so. If they catch someone out with that Impale, then the Core Collapse does a lot of damage. Ordain goes down. Leon almost jumps on into it. He is going to be alright for now. Vagabond dodges. That's going to be a nice Crucible, stopping that fearsome shade. But the Gauntlet's now down, and Nomad is just trying to survive inside it. He does lose his life. Bong Mabu goes down as well. It is disastrous for XL, not able to execute. And that's going to be Cortez running away as Leon charges forward. Turret falls, and the swing, the tempo is in Calamity's hands.
All right, so Calamity able to turn this one around. It was a much slower pace start. It looked good for the side of Excel for a little while, but these builds are starting to come online. The infusions, the early infusions that Calamity have been picking up have done wonders for turning these team fights in their favor. And the gold has already swung firmly back into their control. 3,000 gold to their favor. And Calamity can now continue to look to go aggressive. Gold miner was started, but they don't commit to that. They don't want to go too risky and give a chance for the side of Excel to steal that away, maybe find a team fight off the heels of it. It's in Cortez.
Zero in trouble? He's alright for now. Fountain will be withheld. Cortez going to just look for it back as quickly as possible. Now Bongma Bu could be targeted. Certainly takes a lot of damage from a quick couple of auto attacks from Leon there. There's a lot of range on Aeon's side. This turret's going to take a big beating. Rear end dives onto Bongma Bu. The Ordain's there. He gets stunned by it all. Rear end might lose his life and it pops the fountain. One shot comes out, lands on Aeon. Here comes the snipe. It's returned, but everyone lives. Leon walking away with just a glimmer of HP. XL actually an advantage at this point if they were able to find a chase, but they just don't have the ability to follow up and chase down Aeon or Leon, and so it will be Calamity just walking away.
All right, so Calamity able to just get out of a potentially risky situation. Maybe going to be looking in for another fight. Ryuren gets caught out.
He does, and he's going to be alright, but now it's Leon who's the target. Look at the damage Aeon's putting out, though. Aeon just ripping through these HP bars with the range of that Hilo Genesis. And XL, they're not in a very healthy position. Bongma Bu doesn't have the energy to really be able to trade at this point, and with the low HP that already Batiste has, and already lower considering he took too much poke, and will have to back away. This is becoming an interesting point because you're kind of seeing the strength of both these compositions now occurring. The ability to kind of shut down engages from both teams, and the differences between the way the damage is being consistently outputted. You're looking at Leon thinking it's going to be him, but actually Aeon is kind of the one who's really facilitating a lot of this burst potential.
Yeah, that's definitely the burst potential is there. I mean, Leon was just almost taken out entirely. But speaking of burst potential, that's going to be a kill onto Nomad Vagabond getting caught out on their own. So both sides having a very hefty burst at their disposal, able to find kills. Again, I mentioned positioning, not getting caught out on your own was going to be absolutely crucial. And unfortunately for Nomad Vagabond there, gets caught out, drops. That means an immense gold payout going over to Calamity.
Last time, Nomad Vagabond died without using his fountain. He jumped in chat to spam nice fountain real quick. This time, though, it seems like the importance is becoming more and more so, and it's time to screw your head on here for XL. Gold did go over the gold miner. It is a hefty lead on the other side of Calamity, sitting at 5,000 at this 14-minute mark. Can they do anything? Leon chucks out the reflex block to escape the ethereal prison. That's going to be a fearsome shade, really just connecting with no one there. Calamity Reborn going to be very happy just to reset the fight, get ready to push this turret in. Cortez farms up, gets himself another Ordained onto rear end, means he can't be engaged upon, but Leon certainly can jump there and put some damage out. XL not in a bad position. They have that one shot as well. Could really hurt rear end and force perhaps a fountain out of him. There's the ethereal prism going down. It's onto Leon, I believe. And Cortez is just getting melted as we speak. He goes down. Bongma Bu trying to blow up Leon, but he can't. It's a double for Leon. Turret goes down, and Leon dives forward looking for that triple kill as well. Nomad is going to give it up. That's Leon with a triple. Gets himself the buffed up minions. Rear end going to provide a route of escape by helping his team blow up this choke point turret. And seeming like Calamity are just too far ahead for XL to deal with.
It definitely seems to be that way as the choke point turret has fallen. It looked like an opportunity for Excel to get an engage out, but Leon just proving to be too strong with his movement through the fights. Apology if you can hear the truck outside starting up there, but it is going to be a sizable lead now for Calamity. Aeon, however, I feel like Aeon, we haven't really talked about too much in terms of these team fights, but 3-0-4, not giving a single death over to the other team.
Yeah, no, he's been playing pretty strongly, Aeon, able to just position pretty safely at the back of fights and not ever be contested. Leon does walk into a lot of people, but he's seemingly okay with it, as Reren's going to knock Cortez into the wall here. Bongma Bu in a lot of trouble as he's just getting harassed. That core collapse seals his fate. A late fountain, a solar storm flying through. Cortez gets dropped, and it just leaves Nomad Vagabond left alive, but not for long. A double for Leon, and Calamity are going to look to finish the game.
And this very well should be the ability to end the game. They have ace buff minions at their heels. They're going to just go in, take out this first turret. Nope, never mind. They're going to wait for... Are they? Okay. Now they're going in with the ace buff minions. And these turrets are going to get absolutely melted. The damage coming out from these two carries. Turrets are down. They're on to the Vein Crystal. And Calamity will take this.
Yeah, they will take the game. Ults go out from XL, but the ults don't seemingly going to stop anything. They're able to just about delete Aeon from the map, but it was just after the Vein Crystal died, so his perfect record is intact. And Calamity Reborn, in no shock surprise, able to take down XL 2-0, looking very strong throughout the series.
Very strong performance from Calamity. I mean, as expected, they are the #1 seed for a reason, Dowsy. So I don't think it's really going to surprise anyone that they were able to take this victory, and even in very decisive fashion against a strong team in XL. But Calamity just very much looking like the top challenger team in all of Europe.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think that's probably it. You know, they're going to join Salty Potatoes in that winners bracket final, which will be happening next week, I believe, at Scoundrel. And you know, that's obviously going to be a fantastic match to watch.
It's going to be absolutely amazing. Apologies I didn't jump in sooner, Dalcy. I needed a bit of time to update all the graphics. But yeah, that was a great game. I think series went the way they expected. There was some glimmers of hope for XL in that game, but you know, as it stands, Calamity just were the better team on the day, and XL will now go back into that losers bracket and sort of think about how they're going to approach their next set of games, which, by the way, I will show you guys what we are expecting to see here. Dalcy, we're going to have Team Queso and Waves coming up. I believe Audacity Gaming are 1-0 up in their series so far. So XL will either be facing Queso or Waves off the back of this. I mean, how do you think they fare up against those two teams?
It's very interesting. This is what they expected. They expect that Team Queso is going to beat Waves, and that they would then have to play Waves, and then the winner of Historis Esports versus, the winner of Hell's Flames versus Audacity versus Historis. So they're kind of expecting that it's going to be them versus Queso, then them versus Hell's Flames, which would be a rematch actually from earlier on in the bracket. So they feel confident that if they beat Team Queso next week, assuming Team Queso beats Waves, that they are in the challenge battles. You know, this is what they anticipated to be their route there anyway, because they knew that their matchup against Calamity Reborn would be such a tough one that whilst they were confident that they could give it their best shot, they weren't necessarily confident that that would be their route to the challenge battles.
Yeah, muted myself. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to VGL Summer Split 1. And we're going to have the remainder of our playoff bracket for today taking place. We have already Audacity Gaming playing up against their opponents. I believe it's, if I can just double check off the back of my head, which is not double checking, I'm actually checking on the tournament. I think it's one of the teams that we saw play yesterday. It is Hellflames. Yes, so we saw them play against XL. Sorry, completely escaped my memory for a second. And we're going to be now playing Team Queso versus Waves. Again, two teams that are not strangers to high-level VGL play. And it actually means we're going to be having these guys making it to the playoff brackets. I believe Waves has made it before, but Team Queso, this is their first time in the playoff bracket, Darcy.
It is. Every time they've been kind of gatekeepered at the edge of playoffs, but never allowed to enter in. So this is going to be their first chance to actually make it their way through with the help of Mr. Keiko at their side. The I guess the new Spanish import that he is.
So, as we get ready for this game, I think the teams are ready for draft already. So let's jump straight into it when we can. And here we go. Teams ready for draft. And it's going to be Team Queso on A side and Waves on B side. An Idris ban straight off the bat. Respect how strong Idris can be at the moment. Tasty Bacon?
Yeah, it's Idris' first ban is not something we see too frequently, but I like the decision. It then forces your opponents to say, okay, are we going to let one of those two like key heroes that always gets banned away through, or are we going to get both of them through? It's going to be the Grace ban, so both Grumpjaw and Baron left open, and now I would expect to see both of those heroes get picked up.
Yeah, that's pretty... Oh, okay, never mind. That's very interesting. I expected that this was just going to be a similar kind of draft that we saw from Queso earlier, where they banned the Idris so that they could pick the Baron. Paul Monroe, not really known for his Idris play, but it's certainly CP Idris. It's pretty easy to pick up due to the fact that he's very similar to a lot of other, ranged weapon power heroes.
So, as the draft takes further, let's have a look at where the next bands are going to be starting here. Waves. Again, something I found really interesting, a lot of priority put on Arden here. It's kind of been Arden prioritized by a lot of teams as these drafts have gone on, and again, that's the same for Waves. They're going to give that their number one pick. Very safe pick, Arden, actually. They are very safe. Grumpjaw, the final ban. Just as an update, ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested in the Hellflames versus Audacity Gaming matchup, Audacity Gaming did win 2-0, so they will find themselves going through the bracket, and I believe they will be facing Historic Esports. So that'll be Audacity Gaming playing Historic Esports next week, I believe. So we'll see how that transpires as the weeks go on. Next Tuesday, I think, will be the date that takes place, and draft has gone through. Baron ban followed by Kestrel pick, and now Dowsey, Team Queso look to respond.
Yeah, and they've got a lot of opportunities to, pull out some of their old classicos. I'm expecting Dark Ghost to really look for a carry type jungler here. Could pick up that Samuel to just try and really contest the range that Kestrel brings out. That Kestrel, of course, a fantastic flex pick in the meta right now. So it doesn't really reveal whether or not they want to take it weapon power or CP. So, you can't really draft too much around the Kestrel. But you at least know that she's going to be squishy nonetheless. So if you want to go Samuel to contest the range, then you've got that. Another pick would have been Tucker, but clearly Dark Ghost is just going to stick to the original prediction.
So it's going to be Captain to round this one out here for Team Queso. Something to complement the Samuel and the Vox here.
I want a Finn. I want a Finn, but knowing PRZ, I think it's going to be either a Lyra or a Catherine. Yeah, it's like there's predictions of what you want and what you think is going to be great into the comp, and then there's predictions of what you expect based on the player, and that's just where my mind's going right now. They're eating into their bonus time. They got 5 seconds left. There's the Catherine.
Yeah, Catherine comes through. Catherine's pretty strong at this point in time. She stacks up so heavily in the late game now due to the changes to her heroic perk. And she's pretty good at soaking Kestrel Glimmer shots as well. I think people always considered Catherine pretty good into Kestrel for that respect. So Catherine going to be the front line for the Samuel and Vox. The only problem with Catherine is she doesn't do a lot of sort of team-wide CC, so it's hard to lock down and peel for carries apart from selecting a singular target to peel against. So that is only one of the only issues with Catherine. And we're going to wait for the response here from Waves. They are likely going to either pick their jungler or laner depending on where this Kestrel is going to go. Although Weapon Power Kestrel has been seeing a lot of play in lane recently. Where would you go, Tasty Bacon, as a final pick here?
I would look to go for. I actually wasn't gonna say Blackfeather. I was thinking maybe a Glaive to try and deal with the Samuel, but Blackfeather is going to be their choice. I would expect this to end up being a. They could go either way, but I'm leaning a little bit towards having the weapon Kestrel with a Crystal Blackfeather try and win the poke game.
I'm exactly in that sort of area, and also the fact that Shatterglass first item for CP Blackfeather is so good into double squishy, and you're facing double squishy, so that would be my inkling as well. So both teams are ready to get into game, which means we can jump over to our wonderful versus screen. API stats provided by VGPro.gg. Thank you to those guys, and you can see Mr. K Cool, Dark Ghost, Perez, Sasiska, Mr. Fresher and Paul Monroe. I thought it said like Mortimer on my screen because I've got it on such low resolution because I've got the studio up. But Mr. Fresher and Paul Monroe, all their stats can be seen on the screen. And again, those are the not the 3 most played heroes. Those are the heroes that they have had most success on in solo queue. So those are by percentage-wise their best performing heroes. Mr. Keiko had excellent performances on Idris. If you kept up with him, he's had been a big fan of the Idris play, as is our good friend Dowsey.
I actually really enjoy his Vox play, more so than his Idris play. I think his Vox is, he knows the limitations of the hero, he knows how ham he can go on the hero, and so I'm really excited to see this first game of this series, Tasty Bacon, as we jump onto the Halcyon fold here. Completely just, blocking Scoundrel out of the picture just seemed like it would be a more natural transition. And, Team Queso versus Waves. I think Team Queso, possibly the favorites here. I like the play from Waves, but they always just feel like they're slow to executing proactive plays.
Yeah, and that's the proactive plays are going to be extremely important to the series. We saw just how proactive a team could be in previous matchups. And this is one where if you want to move on, you have to be the team that makes those proactive decisions, because if you don't pull off the victory here, you are knocked out of the challengers for this split. And after making it so far, it becomes even more frustrating to get knocked out when you're this deep into the challengers run.
Certainly does, and both these teams are going to be wanting to make it as deep as possible. Of course, the winner of this series will play against XL, who just got knocked down into the elimination bracket by Calamity Reborn. And it only gets tougher, I think, as the journey gets deeper and deeper. Sasiska has been playing immense amounts of Arden so far, the VGL challenges. Loves the playmaking ability that the Gauntlet brings, however, is possibly one of the biggest contributors to the slowness of proactive plays, as he consistently is looking for an engagement, but actually never takes an engagement. Clearly, Waves, they're a talented team, and they've made it this far due to the fact that they are just that. But I feel like they have more potential if they were to perhaps tighten up their shot clock.
Well, first 2 minutes of the game in, the other side has really gone for a skirmish. Not even really any trading thus far in the lane. Both laners being quite healthy. PRZ going to get a stun out, but quickly Sasiska is there to apply the Vanguard, give a little bit of movement speed. Paul Monroe needs to be careful, very low on energy, and this could be a time where Team Queso decides to take advantage of that fact.
Yeah, it's just a bit of an early gank. Doesn't really do too much apart from allow Mr. Keiko to go back, and that is pretty important to the flow of this game. Mr. Keiko gets to go back and picks up that blazing salvo and the poisoned needle so that he can start building towards the poison shiv. Barbed needle, sorry, of course. But, you know, it's poisoned on its tip. Either way, it is allowing you know, the lane to flow in favor of Mr. Keiko. We do see that Paul Monroe has finished his tension bow now, and Team Queso are just using the fact that they have knowledge of when these front camps are going to respawn. They can go and try and steal them away. You know, you steal away 3 camps every rotation, and that adds up to be quite a lot of gold going over to Dark Ghosts and denied from Mr. Fresher. So it is always worthwhile looking for those rotations as a jungler, just trying to get yourself a little bit further ahead.
Yeah, just those small little advantages can be key, but thus far things very much even. You see about 1 to 200 gold separating these two sides at the moment. 4 minutes into this game, and it's still just been very much about farming and making sure that you secure your own side of the map first. Paul Monroe, like you mentioned, has that tension bow. It's interesting, you don't normally see the Kestrels go for a tension bow first item, but wanting to be able to contest with that Vox early, trying to have that burst in order to just win trades when they do happen. So we'll see if they can make it work for them. Waves, obviously another team that is a very solid roster, but is going to be in this elimination side of the bracket along with Queso. This is probably one of the stronger elimination bracket games that we have seen. 3 and 7 going up against each other, but again, for this early game, both sides perfectly content to just farm up, look for these first items. Once the junglers start to make their first item power spikes, I assume that's when we might start seeing a little bit more trading, a little bit more effort put into trying to gank the lane and make something happen.
Yeah, it's been pretty slow this game. Now that Dark Ghost is level 6, this is where things need to change. You have that Oblivion unlocked. You can really make a huge impact with it. See that Waves are trying to start to share some of this gold, get Paul Monroe up to level 6 as quickly as possible. That one shot clearly a very easy tool to use to just land a bit of extra damage. There's that drifting dark though from Dark Ghost, and he's just looking for as much turret damage as possible. Mr. Fresher will move into the lane, but he hasn't finished his Shadow Glass yet. Has the components, has the gold. I think that's going to be a priority for Waves before they look for any fights.
Yeah, definitely seems to be the case. There's the Shadow Glass completed. Okay, so looking to go in.
Yeah, turret down to half HP. Dark Ghost only taking a bit of poke in the process. That turret's taking a huge beating, and Queso will be content with that. They're going to send Dark Ghost and Mr. Keiko to the jungle to share some golden experience. Mr. Keiko is actually only going to get a little bit of that as he's forced to defend the lane due to a hard counter push coming out of the side of Waves. But Dark Ghost is going to be able to head back up to the lane very quickly to look to push the turret a little bit further. I think that Team Queso are going to be pretty happy and content in continuing pressure here, because that turret is only a little way off from finding its demise. But as I say that, I look at Mr. Keiko's piggy bank, and I notice he has 2,500 gold, so he's going to be wanting to find the breaking point for himself, and that's obviously a fairly nice little power spike.
Yeah, the power spike, it needs to be capitalized on, though. Neither side is, again, really looked to make any significant plays happen. So Siska is going to be taking a little bit of damage. What little... Ooh, that's a lot.
Damage onto Paul Monroe, yeah. This should be the turret being executed by Team Queso. They need to make sure they focus the turret and not the characters, not the heroes here, because they can just heavily damage it down. Mr. Fresher will provide a bit of threat. There's that silence flying out. Now they can just move in and finish the job here. Turret goes down in Queso. Can look to chase. Dark goes. Oblivion goes out. It pushes Mr. Fresher back. It's going to be Siska stunned up by PRZ with the Merciless Pursuit. Team Queso not able to find a kill, but the gold goes into their pockets. And they push their gold lead to around 2,000.
And excellent job. I was about to say, what little aggression we have seen has generally come from Team Queso. And that's exactly what we just got there. Able to take down that first turret, finally start to put a little bit of a gold gap between them and their opponents, jumping that up to almost 2,000 gold in their favor. And as long as they can just keep this very steady and consistent play up, they should be okay. The one concern I have is PRZ only sitting on 6 stacks of this Catherine perk. You typically want to be at a minimum of 2 stacks per minute, and he is even below the 1 stack per minute route right now. So hopefully PRZ will be able to find a few more stuns and silences as the game goes on, but not going to be as durable as you would like just yet.
It's much harder to find stacks in a competitive game than it is your typical solo queue game. You know, if you watch a lot of streams of players like Jetpacks and FlashX who like to play Catherine and like to go for high stack totals, they'll build stuff like contraptions early and clockworks early, just so that they can really up the stack count. Because the solo queue is obviously way less coordinated, you can actually afford to just stack off cooldown. In competitive play, it will get punished. And so, you know, you typically see that these stack totals are much lower than ideal, but it is a little bit too low from PRZ, like Tasty Bacon mentioned. And so, Queso will need to keep that in mind, that PRZ won't be as tanky as a late game Catherine can get. However, for Queso, they might not even be anticipating that a late game is where they really want to finish. They've got a lot of power in the mid game with the Samuel and the box. You know, the tools available to them with the blast tremor included does allow for, you know, kind of the taking over of team fights very quickly. If Team Queso can find some key engages, then they'll be in good position. But this rotation to the jungle has just given up their turret, and once more we've seen Team Queso just give up objectives that they didn't need to.
So right now, Team Queso again going to be looking to move up, apply some pressure. I really like the fact that they're being somewhat aggressive, but without really taking risks. They're just finding opportunities like what they might have here with Paul Monroe being alone underneath this turret, just going to get some damage onto him, but then they put most of the attention onto the turret itself.
Yeah, and actually Mr. Keiko's in a lot of trouble. He might go down, Fountain goes out, Gauntlet's there as well. The Oblivion, though, buys him time, and he's got that breaking point stacking up to 11 stacks, but it's not enough to find the damage. Everyone falling, and that's going to be Mr. Fresher going down, but PSE will lose his life, and Ace goes over to Waves. Great usage of that Gauntlet, and really is facilitated by Mr. Fresher's poke damage on the on-point.
Yeah, they weren't quite ready for Mr. Fresher to show up from the jungle. Again, I really liked the idea of just going and focusing on that turret, but sticking around a little bit too long. Paul Monroe, able to get a ton of damage onto that tier 2 on the other side, will actually stick around and destroy it. So just like that, Waves able to bring this game right back to even footing just about as far as gold is concerned. The Infusion's about to time out on the side of Team Queso. Paul Monroe still has a little bit left on his, but it's going to be timing out shortly as well.
I've been really loving that over the course of challenges, we've gotten deeper and deeper into this tournament. A lot more teams have been putting major emphasis on these early infusions. 2 more infusions coming out for Team Queso, really wanting to have as much of an advantage as possible if another team fight were to break out right now.
Yeah, for sure. It's pretty interesting, the kind of the flow of this game. You know, the poke that's available in Waves is always going to be an issue for Team Queso here. With those glimmer shots, with those on points, Team Queso are going to really struggle to stay healthy, and you can see it just there. Like one shots, glimmer shots, and on points. Gauntlets comes back up in 10 seconds, and Waves would be wanting to continue that kind of rotation onto the carries, onto Samuel, and Samuel specifically, trying to poke him down as much as possible before they launch a fight. Queso, they're going to struggle, I think, to find hard engages, because their only CC that is going to be consistent and, I guess, dominating enough to really find a team kill. It's really the Oblivion. Merciless Pursuit will only work if Waves are caught out, and currently Waves are playing a pretty good, a pretty safe game where they don't really overextend and don't really allow PRZ to get those Merciless Pursuits off.
And they've also been doing a really good job of, almost baiting Team Queso into some fights. Having Paul Monroe be the only person visible underneath the turret. Team Queso moves up thinking they have a chance to get a lot of damage. Then all of a sudden, Sasiska and Mr. Fresher are coming out of the brush and making a team fight happen. That's exactly what we saw in that team fight, that they were able to win. But now, lots of damage on the Dark Ghost starts us off.
Mr. Keiko in a bit of trouble. Great stun onto Dark Ghost. They're able to get away, but that blast tremor doesn't hit anyone. Oblivion, though, does. That does prevent the fight from continuing for now as Dark Ghost chases down Mr. Fresher and is able to find the kill. He's able to round the corner here, maybe even find some more kills, but he hasn't quite spotted out where Paul Monroe and Sasiska are hiding. They are going to start running and chasing him down, but oh, the Madison verdicts do just so much work. Now he has that Drifting Dark to empower, and PRZ as his front line as well to chase on down. There's an active camo in that push, but I don't think that's going to be a problem, as Sasiska's just giving up his life to make sure that Paul Monroe gets back to base safely.
Very, very greedy moves. The one shot's not going to pick up a kill, but Sasiska and Paul Monroe, they were both extremely low. They both started to recall. They got greedy, thinking they had a chance to take out Dark Ghost with the help of the Sentry. Ends up backfiring on them as they were able to both get out alive, but they end up losing the Sentry as a result. So not an ideal situation for the side of Waves whatsoever.
So this is a interesting crossroads we find ourselves in, because that fight could have been a little bit more dominant from the side of Team Queso if PRZ was not to have missed his blast tremor. Could have also had 3 more stacks to his name as well. Would have been in a better spot. Team Queso certainly looking like they are confident. There is still a lot of poke that they are having to deal with. There it is. Mr. Keiko diving on in, but Mr. Fresher's on top of them. The Bolivian's not going to do anything but split the team, but I think Mr. Fresher is dead for all rights, and now the chase can continue. Paul Monroe has the poke with the glimmer shots. Looks like he's just going to head back to base. Oh, one shot! Finds out Dark Ghost and hits him right in the booty.
Excellent job to find those kills. 1-for-1 trade as Kraken spawns, so neither team's going to be making a move for that objective just yet. Getting that return kill onto Dark Ghost is so important, because you got to figure if Dark Ghost stays alive there, very likely ends up being Kraken started up by the side of Queso. Right now, Waves are going to be starting this. This is very, very risky. It is a 2-on-2 for now, but Mr. Keiko is the big damage dealer. Now it's going to be 3-on-2. Are they going to commit to this?
Well, they have committed to it, but the gauntlet will go down. Mr. Keiko able to escape it. That's a great silence. Paul Monroe's got blown up. Can he dance around Mr. Fresher is the question. Oh, he can. He's looking for a double kill. And that is Mr. Keiko's Vox, ladies and gentlemen. I said before this game that his Vox has impressed me. Well, he's certainly going to be very happy with that little dance move that he just made up there.
Yeah, that was a very questionable decision at best for the side of Waves to start up that Kraken. I mean, they had to know it was going to be contested. The respawns were coming through for around the same time, so it wasn't a very safe Kraken take whatsoever. They lose the fight, they lose the Kraken, and now this is a chance for Team Queso to really solidify their lead in this game. If they find another team fight, they could even look to end with this Kraken push.
Yeah, they can, and just have to see how that goes out for them, because they have that Oblivion available and they have that Blast Tremor as well. Good stun, that was an opportunity to go for it, but they're going to focus onto the turret here. Team fights become a lot harder as you enter into the base here, especially seemingly on blue side. I think just the camera makes things a little bit awkward to really see everything. Here we go, Sasiska taking a lot of damage, as is that Kestrel. Paul Monroe gets deleted. Mr. Fresher will get out, but Sasiska will be put to sleep. Let's turn our attention to the turret, which is falling down as we speak. There is so much poke, but that silence will go out and it prevents anything coming out of the side of Waves for now. Mr. Keiko dancing around Mr. Fresher, and he's seemingly going to be okay as he gets that kill, moves over to the turret, and finishes the job. That is going to be Team Queso taking first game here, Tasty Bacon, and facilitated, I think, through mainly a major error from Waves.
Yeah, very patient play by both sides, but as we mentioned, Waves just definitely got a little bit too greedy at one point, and
ended up costing them quite dearly in this first game. So Queso on the verge of moving on. They need one more game to drop Waves out of the playoffs and out of the challengers for this split entirely, Dowsy.
Yep, and you know it's hard to stay patient throughout a whole game and just play to your strengths. When you do get impatient, and Waves certainly did, attempting that Kraken against a Vox and a Catherine. Catherine, of course, able to really just help out the Vox by providing peel so that Vox can kind of do his thing. Then any hard work that you've done into the game gets completely eliminated, right, Scoundrel?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that was just... Honestly, I thought that was really nice from Team Queso. I think they had their draft fully sorted. And again, I think you're right, a bit of impatience from Waves. I mean, this is something that's plagued them throughout multiple VGL seasons. They always seem to be unable to know when to pull the trigger properly when it comes to these big, important games. We are getting the teams ready and sorted for draft, but while we are getting them ready, let me show you again the wonderful screen that is the API stats provided by vgpro.gg. And you can see here all these... Mr. Fresher's most successful hero happens to be Blackfeather at the moment, Darcy. So, did get something that he wanted there. Dark Ghost played a really good Samuel that game as well.
I love Dark Ghost Samuel. I think that the Samuel was a really strong pick. I do think that PRZ's Catherine was really influential in that one fight around Kraken, where Mr. Keiko was able to shut down the Kraken take and actually secure it then for his team. But realistically, didn't actually have as much effect throughout the rest of the game. So I don't know if that is just nerves or PRZ not really able to find opportunities that he wanted. I do think either way that there's a priority pick there in the Arden that you might want to take away from Siska as he plays it practically every game that he can. Grace may also be available next series, considering the fact that it was Waves who banned it on B side. Now they're on A side, so they can look to prioritize other things.
Right, draft is ready to go. As far as I'm aware, the teams are in and ready to get things underway. So we'll wait for that to start up, and there it begins. This time we'll have Waves on A side, or we'll have Team Queso on B side. And that means that first pick is available for Waves if Arden isn't banned, and you might think that Cisco will want to get his hands on that once more, or maybe deny something like the Vox away from Mr. Keiko.
Once you deny the Vox from Mr. Keiko, though, you just, you don't really achieve anything apart from the fact that you don't have to play against Vox. Because Mr. Keiko's hero pool is pretty strong. Either way, nice bans coming out here. The Idris band, the Baron band leaves Grace and Grumpjaw open. I'm not sure we'll see Grumpjaw unless Waves want it. I'm not sure Queso will play it. But there's the box coming through, so that could open up the Grace pick, I think, here for the side of Queso.
So that is open and available. Queso could get their hands on this Grace. We'll have to see if that's the case. Might be their place. They're going to lock it in. Grace does go in. Yeah, I know. Grace does go over to Team Queso here. Lyra is the ban from them, and now we wait for the second ban from Waves. Tasty Bacon.
Yeah, I would expect to see a ban of something along the lines that goes really well with the Grace. Maybe something like a Batiste or a Samuel, perhaps, from the side of Waves. But Vox does quite well into the Grace, and we've seen a couple other picks able to have some really good success going into Grace, so I don't think they need to be too concerned about that. It is going to be the Glaive that they take off the board, though.
Interesting. So now Team Queso have the opportunity to lock in their next hero. We'll have to see where
Glaive ban is targeted at Mr. Keiko, by the way, just to prevent the Glaive in lane against the box, which could be a little bit hard to deal with early levels and towards the end of the game as well.
Wait for Waves. It's going to be Kestrel locked in. A lot of priority going on to Kestrel through these series. Waves are going to lock in the Catherine for Sisiska here. Catherine pretty good into Grace. I think that's generally how she's seen at the moment. I mean, even when she had the update to her heroic perk, she was not seeing a huge amount of play. A little bit more play, but not a massive amount of play. But now Catherine's seeing a bit more because she's considered pretty decent into Grace. So, you know, she's being locked in here for Siska, and then we're going to see them shore things up. I would potentially think about Samuel. Why not just replicate the composition that Team Queso had in the previous game? You know, it's worked out pretty well for them, and if you guys feel confident piloting Samuel, it was a composition that worked nicely.
I'm anticipating a Sky from Mr. Fresher, I think. I'm not sure we've seen his Samuel yet in Challenger Series, but we've certainly seen his Sky. Seemed fairly confident on it. It would kind of feed into it, but, you know, seemingly he is okay with the Samuel, so you're going to hit the nail on the head there, Scoundrel.
Yes, Samuel goes in. Again, double ranged, very good into Grace. Especially mobile double range. Samuel gets a bit of mobility from his Malice and Verdict, and obviously Vox has that through his Sonic Zoom. So, you know, very hard to lock down those carries when you have a Grace enemy team. It's going to be up to Team Queso to round this out. Dowsey, what do you think is the best way for them to round their composition out?
Tucker, an assassin, or some sort of heavy burst hero. Grace does get countered by Vox because he can be mobile, but Grace is pretty good into Samuel. Batiste would also be a half-decent pick just because you can lock down either the Vox or the Samuel here. Really is just onto Dark Ghost to decide how he wants to deal with Samuel. Sky is seemingly going to be the answer. I think that's more of a case of I'm going to outskill you rather than I'm going to just pick a hero that counters you.
So teams...
Yeah, definitely feels that way.
I don't know. Carry on, Daisy Beacon. I accidentally interrupted you. I'm just going to check that teams are ready to go into the game here.
I was just going to say, it definitely feels like the Sky is a little bit of Team Queso saying that they feel that they can just outperform their opponents. Sky and Samuel is very much a skilled matchup because neither one really gets a massive edge. It just comes down to who has the better positioning, who gets the first couple of shots off, who can land their skill shots. Whereas I agree with Dowsey. I think the Batiste would have been a very strong pick because the Batiste can deal with the Vox and allow the Grace to be able to lock down the Vox. So I would have loved to see Batiste come out and also very strong into Samuel, but not going to be the case here. So it's going to come down to this for the side of Waves. If they can pick up a victory here, otherwise they will be done for.
Just before we get into game, showing you guys the playoff bracket here. And this is everything we have so far. We'll have our playoff bracket ready and sorted when we have the end of this series, where Team Queso are one game away from becoming the victors and moving on to the next round. And speaking of that, the game has started. So handing over to Tausty. I'm going to call you Tausty. Screw it.
Well-known Tausty, VG8, VGL caster here. Joining me is, of course, the Basty Taken, which is going to be... you know, just talking about this game in a nice soft tone, very pleasant to your ears.
Well, hopefully that will be the case for our wonderful viewers, as we are going to be getting on into this one. Once again, Team Queso, one game away from continuing on their path through the elimination bracket. They have made this as hard as possible for themselves by dropping their very first series of the Challengers, but they've been able to continue winning ever since that first series loss, and looking to keep that streak alive.
Yeah, it's been 2-0s all across the board for Team Queso since they're upset by eSuper earlier on into the VGL. eSuper clearly a very strong team and has performed very well in VGL thus far, you know, over Split 1 and Split 2 last season. So, you know, whilst it was an upset, and it probably looked like more of an upset due to the fact that the seeds were such a big difference, 30th seed versus 3rd seed, it's possibly not as much of an upset when you actually consider who eSuper are and who's on the team, and their past results as well. Regardless, Team Queso, clearly a very talented team and have woken up and, you know, smelt the napalm as far as the danger zone was concerned. Now, Mr. Keiko, Dark Ghost, and PRZ well aware of what they can do and what they need to do if they want a chance of making it to the top 3 here in VGL and securing a challenge battle spot in Europe.
All right, well, that's what they're fighting for.
It's what it's all about in this match up. Is Paul Monroe on this box, Mr. Keiko on the Kestrel, swapping heroes for these two carries. I mean, Mr. Keiko trying to make a statement with that.
He's in a bit of trouble here. This Malice and Bergs from Mr. Fresher. Oh, it hits! And there's the auto attack to find the first blood for Mr. Fresher. He gets out just about. Takes a huge chunk of damage from that turret that was all set up by a lovely merciless pursuit from Sosiska.
Yep, so first blood going the way of Waves. I like to see teams go for that early aggression, able to find the nice rotation, taking out the very squishy Kestrel. Sosiska thinking about trying to steal away that Treant, but Dark Ghost pulls it far enough back that he doesn't want to go for it.
Idea. PRZ able to find and engage. The Holy Nova knocked him up as well, which is very unusual with the Vox. Clearly caught him off guard, and perhaps whilst that ability, the Sonic Zoom was off, I didn't see the start of it, but I did see the end of it. Mr. Keiko able to get one for his own.
Very nice answer. Very nice response from Team Queso. Again, just almost feels like a one-upping attempt, but that's going to be Mr. Fresher throwing out the Drifting Dark, not connecting with the Malice and Verdict stuff.
No, doesn't connect many of them, or any of them. And PRZ able to dive on it and get that directional shield set up so that Team Queso can throw some damage back towards the side of Waves. Obviously, Team Queso going to be wanting to be as proactive as possible. Grace, clearly a strong hero for doing that, has some fantastic range on her Benediction, perhaps too much range as we saw in our first series of the day. But, you know, it allows for you to dive onto the Samuel, also allows for you to try and attempt to peel the Catherine if you time a well-placed retribution auto attack to get the slow, can kind of prevent the merciless pursuit. Get your carry out of there safely, and keeping Mr. Keiko, you know, as mobile as possible is going to be key to finding damage and taking down Waves.
It's one kill apiece, but the gold lead is still slightly in favor of Waves for the time being. See if that continues to hold up. And quick rotation down to the shop for Paul Monroe is going to finish off the Breaking Point first item. I have never been a fan of Breaking Point first item, regardless of the hero, because you don't have the damage to get that item stacking up at all. And now Queso going to look to capitalize.
Oh, that glimmer shot from Mr. Cable just tore through Paul Monroe and Mr. Fresher there. There is a huge opportunity for Team Queso to push this turret and get some damage down. I don't think they get the turret, but perhaps they pick up a sneaky kill onto Siska or Paul Monroe. Either way, they need to make sure they're focusing their abilities as one. That forward barrage kind of being misplaced has stopped the engagement here. Just expanding on your point there, Tasty. I'm not a fan of Paul Monroe's build in general. It's going to be a Breaking Point double monocles, it seems, at this point. And we've just not seen much success with that lately.
Well, we haven't really seen it run at all lately. In order
I've
to
seen
even
it
have
3
success on it,
times this season and on last update, and it wasn't successful. I can tell you that.
This used to be the go-to build for Vox, but that was, you know, before things like Poison Shiv even existed, and before Tornado Trigger got the massive buffs it did to crit and all sorts of things like that. So it's very curious to see Paul Monroe going down this path. We'll see if that ends up being what the final build is, but right now Mr. Fresher eating a lot of forward barrage damage. Team Queso starting to be able to find some edges when it comes to these trades that are happening in the lane.
Yeah, no, they are definitely finding advantages so far. Mr. Fresher hasn't really shown us as much Samuel mastery as Dark Ghost did in the previous game. Kind of the reason I didn't expect it to be a Samuel from Mr. Fresher. Not to say that he can't play Samuel, but just to say that we haven't seen it really from Waves so far in the VGL very often, where he's played other heroes far more regularly. And it may be that Sisiska has kind of made the call for his team to just take this composition from Queso that they felt was very strong into their own and you know, use it against them. This Catherine Samuel box was obviously what Queso ran game 1. But, of course, if you don't have the mastery of the heroes capable of running it in the same way, then it may not work out as well. Either way, we do see Paul Monroe finish that first Torrent's monocle, gets himself another foot so that he can look to get that crit going and build up those breaking point stacks.
That's the hope. That's the plan here for this Vox, is to try and get ramped up as team fights go on. Mr. K Cool, though, setting up an ambush.
Oh, the ambush into Paul Monroe is so good for Team Queso here, because as Dark Ghost finishes his back rotation very shortly, a siege can be truly set up here. Paul Monroe is going to go back. Seems like a bit of a missed opportunity, since the Sky wanted to farm up as much as possible. So we'll have to see now what Team Queso can get of it, because at the moment, Team Queso haven't really found any map advantages. The only advantages they have really is minute CS differences. You know, 4 CS is the lead across the table, and that's not really good enough just yet to win a game.
Very small differences, and this is very similar to what we saw in game number 1. It was not a very proactive game. It was a much more of a passive farm battle between these two teams, and just ended up with Team Queso able to find the edge eventually when Waves just got a little bit too antsy. This time around,
Oh, Monroe takes a one-shot. And there's going to be the engage from PRZ with a benediction. Team Queso not actually wanting to execute just yet. Says to me that they are looking to scale up, get this broken myth on Dark Ghost and Mr. K Cool to his second damage item before they really go two-hand, which is seemingly going to be a breaking point, which is a little bit unusual. Dark Ghost, though, in a bit of trouble. And that's going to be PRZ put to sleep. Fountain comes out and just about saves his life. But now Waves are pushing forward. Mr. K Cool throwing out those dilemma shots, looking for the kill. Can he find it? The Fountain will save Mr. Fresher's life. They've just reversed the tides here, except even more so with the divine intervention that PRZ can put out, and Mr. K Cool landing some key damage onto Paul Monroe. This turret should take a little bit of harass to that, just now.
And Team Queso seem to be putting a little bit more focus on the enemy heroes, though, as opposed to the turret. So it is going to be the turret just taking a little bit of damage, while Waves does start to move themselves back up into the lane. They can now try and get a little bit of chip damage onto the Queso turret, but Dark Ghost is here to clear out. Mr. Fresher gets stunned.
Oh, he does get stunned, and he goes down to Mr. K Cool, who just auto-attacks him to death. Great death from above comes out of Dark Ghost to facilitate that. They've got a minion wave pushing as well, and Sisiska is looking to return back to base. So a chance now for Team Queso to lay down the foundations to this turret, or at least destroy them, as they take the first brick of this game. And now they can move over towards the gold miner, look to try and make their gold lead even further. They are being spotted out here. This is actually going to be a bit of a trouble for Team Queso. I see Waves looking for the contest here. The scout trap does get popped. A death from above does go out as Mr. K Cool looks to finish it off. They won't get stolen away by that wait for it. Great death from above positioning, prevents any further engage. And that's going to be gold swinging the way of Queso.
Excellent job by Queso, just finding that opportunity, that small little window, and cracking it open. Taking the kill, the turret, and the gold mine is a big gold swing. About 2,000 gold just in that one sequence of events going their favor. And you can see it's why they are now sitting on almost a 2,000 gold lead. It's just, that's the only thing that's separating these two teams, was that one play. That one opportunity they were able to find. Now they're going to be going in again.
Just a bit of damage. Not too much. The one shot won't find a home. That death from above might just catch everyone out from Waves and force them to move forward rather than leave. That was an interesting Oblivion. Seemingly used more just for the turret damage But now, with that key ability gone, they can push in here. Great knock-up from that Holy Nova, and it secures the kill onto Paul Monroe. Mr. Fresher going to try and take down Dark Ghost, and he is able to. Very risky play from Dark Ghost, and PRZ's not out of the woods just yet either. Mr. Keiko won't be able to find any snipes just yet. I don't think Dark Ghost really needed to try and contest the Samuel when he had his Drifting Duck up.
And now Mr. Keiko is going to go invisible, has to try and run now. It's a 2-on-1 situation.
He's dead. I don't think he gets out of this alive anyway. No, he doesn't. I'm not a fan of Mr. Keiko's build, the breaking point into a Tyrant's Monocle. Wants to go for auto attack damage, which sometimes we do see some from Kestrel here, Tasty, but her kind of strength is the fact that you build so much crit that your Glimmer Shots kind of act like a CP Kestrel, with the added bonus that when you auto attack and thread those in, the damage output is huge.
Yeah, it's an interesting build to say the least, but even regardless of the build, the decision there to try and go for that fight was less than ideal. He knew his captain had just recalled. He was on his own, and it was going to be a 2-on-1 situation, and tried to pull the trigger on it anyway. Did not end up working out, so maybe a little bit of too much confidence for Mr. K-Cool in that specific situation. Thankfully for them, it didn't cost them too much. I mean, that turret was going to be going down pretty shortly anyway, but the side of Waves have completely diminished that 2,000 gold gap that had existed earlier. One shot's just going to hit the gold miner, and here we go.
Yeah, here we go. That's going to be the Oblivion going out. Does get blocked up. Dark Ghost gets the Divine Intervention, and look at the HP bars of Sisiska going very low. PRZ nice and safe. Sisiska lands that Blast Tremor, and that's going to be a kill going over to Mr. Keiko. Paul Monroe drops very shortly after, and Mr. Thresher cannot escape. An ace comes through for Team Queso, able to weather the storm there. They're going to take this half-full gold miner and then push for a turret.
Absolutely incredible team fight from Team Queso, able to just demolish the members of Waves all of a sudden. And this was dead even. It wasn't like they had this humongous gold lead and were just throwing their weight around. That was just a very well-played team fight. Paul Monroe was on PRZ for the majority of that fight, not the target that you want your Vox to be dishing out damage on, if possible, to avoid, but it was really the only target he had available to him, but ended up getting into some weird positioning, going very deep into the Team Queso side to stick onto PRZ, whereas I feel like there was an opportunity to rotate up and start working on those carries instead, especially because he got a few breaking point stacks built up with this breaking point double monocle build, but thus far, Paul Monroe has not really been able to have the kind of impact that the team is needing him to.
No, not so ever. And he doesn't have sustain from a poison shiv. And he doesn't really have that wow factor when you add the tension bow either. So makes things very difficult for Paul Monroe, especially when you are auto attacking the tankiest member of the team, being PRZ. Makes it hard for that double monocle to really get online. Huge engage comes out of PRZ. Mr. Fresher with the Oblivion will get blocked up though, and the Divine Intervention onto Keiko keeps him very healthy on the front line here. The one shot into Mr. Fresher makes things difficult, and Dark Ghost looking for the kill. Will go over to Keiko, who gets a double in the process. The Kraken has spawned, and Team Queso are going to look to take it and start closing out this series.
Yeah, very nice team fighting again. They wait until they have the opportunity. The one shot came through. It looked like everything was going to be backing off. One shot lands onto Dark Ghost, or onto Mr. Fresher, excuse me, and gets him low enough that the rest of the team can then follow up and makes the decision to do so immediately. A very quick Surrey strike after that one shot connected in order to find the double kill. Kraken now unleashed. Infusions getting topped up across the board. And it looks like Team Queso are going to try and push for a victory.
Yeah, going to be a little bit difficult. It's not as easy as just taking the game here for Team Queso. They do have to still respect the damage output of a Vox and a Samuel, and the lockdown on this Catherine. With Mr. Keiko just outpoking Mr. Fresher over the wall, and Mr. Fresher using his Drifting Dark poorly. With that down for the next 10 seconds, this choke point turret should be a blast. Paul Monroe gets sniped by Mr. Keiko. The turret gets deleted from the map as it just goes down with a couple of more auto attacks and glimmer shots. And now from the side of Team Queso, it's just a formality as they start pushing into the base. So Siska taking a lot of damage, but then it goes on to Mr. Paul Monroe. Mr. Fresher has that drifting dark, but he can't stand inside of it. He's throwing it at his opponents. The Oblivion, though, does blow up, and that's going to be PRZ dying. Oh dear, it's not gone well for Team Queso. They got a little bit too complacent in their boots. They will get a second Vein Crystal turret, a second turret for their Kraken. They won't be GG just yet.
Waves able to keep this push at bay for now as they find that ace. Team Queso got a little over anxious. Thankfully for them, unlike Waves in game 1, their over anxiousness is not going to cost them the game because there isn't a ton that will be available to Waves. They kill the Kraken. Now they're going to move up onto this turret. They should be able to take this one down, but they need to immediately get out of dodge the moment they do, because here comes Queso.
And Queso can actually chase here with that Frostburn, with the forward barrage. We'll have to see how much they can do here. PRZ can really lead the charge with the benediction, and that's going to be Siska losing his life for a very aggressive play, desperate play from the side of Waves. Once more, that word comes into vocabularies, the desperation of Waves in this playoffs match, and it's going to be punished a little bit. Mr. K Cool wants to refresh his infusion, as does the rest of his team, which means that they're not going to push into the base just yet, rather likely going to take this Crystal Sentry off the map here and take one of its lives away. Should be its second life removed here. One more remaining. This Kraken, though, going to be respawning in just a minute or so. Team Queso can really set up more team fights around that, especially in the jungle here now that their sentry is removed. Try and bait Waves into a fight that they do not want.
So Team Queso on the verge of finding this victory. They just need one more team fight to go their way. This game is still close. There's still the chance for Wave to win a team fight, but it has not been looking good for them. And the full-on 3v3s, again, Paul Monroe has struggled to really get a lot of the damage down. We'll see if they can find this with Kraken being up now. One of these teams, you got to figure it's going to come down to a very likely a mistake. Here we go.
Oh, that's a big mistake. Look at the health bar of Mr. K Cool. Gets silenced by the wave for it. The Oblivion going to put 2 to sleep. Can they get away from this disastrous start to a fight? Yes, they can. The fountain comes out, and PRZ's leading the charge. Paul Monroe gets deleted by K Cool, and Paul Monroe. It was Mr. Fresher, but Paul Monroe goes down for the ace. That will be it as Queso pushes into the base now to finish off this series. They will face Excel next week to progress through this playoffs bracket.
A very strong showing from both of these teams, as again, Waves was able to keep this close in terms of the gold and metric, but that is about the only way that this one was close, because Team Queso were winning the team fights. They had obviously far more turrets destroyed, and they take the 2-0 victory, continuing on in the Challenger Series. This long streak, that's now their 5th win in a row, or 5th series win in a row of a 2-0. And if they hadn't lost their first series, that would put them in the finals of this Challenger Series. But because they lost their very first series, they are still not even in the challenge battles just yet. They have to continue fighting.
They certainly would have had a good run for their money. They would have replaced Historis in that position, and then Salty Potatoes versus Team Queso would have been a very interesting series nonetheless. But let's bring Scoundrel back in. It seems like he may be ready to tell us what the playoff bracket is looking like and what we can expect for the following week.
Yes, Dalsy, we are ready to look at the playoff bracket, and we have everything got sorted now. I will bring that up on your screen as soon as I can. Here we go. This is what our playoff bracket is currently looking like. So, if you take a look at the winners bracket final, it will be between Salty Potatoes and Calamity Reborn. We will be showing this game as the first game next week, Tuesday, 6 PM CET. We'll then be showing the further 2 elimination matches because, you know, as it stands, it lines up really nicely for our schedule now. We're going to have Historic Esports and Audacity Gaming, and then XL Esports versus Team Queso. So every single game will be streamed next Tuesday. And then we will have the third place match and also the winners match, as well as the qualification match for the losers bracket finals. So lots and lots of games still to come here. 6 series in totals before we find out who is our Summer Split 1 champion and who goes on to face the challenge battles. But regardless, this is a fantastic set of games today, and obviously all 2-0 victories. There wasn't any close struggles, but all teams deservedly winning so far, Dalsy.
Yeah, no, I think the teams that we expected to win have done just that. The only upset I would say so far in the playoff bracket was Audacity Gaming taking out Hell Flames, but clearly that was off the broadcast, off the record, so we're not entirely sure how that one did play down, but it is the only upset so far. Next week, matches to watch clearly, well, all 3 of them should be great series. Calamity Reborn against Salty Potatoes. Salty Potatoes made up of some fabulous Challenger Series talent. Some of these guys just haven't had the chance to make it to VG8 yet, but have done fantastic stuff when they've been in the VGL. Can they take down this super team? We'll have to find out. I can't wait for next week.
I've been told that the schedule on tournament is the 2 elimination matches first, and then the top round bracket. That will not be the case. I have been told by Blueberries, our admin, that it will be the winners bracket game first. So we'll have our winners bracket final first, and both of those teams have already qualified for the VG8 as it stands, or the VG8 challenge battles, and then we will show the 2 elimination matches following that. So that is the schedule. It's not the same schedule that you see on tournament. It will be slightly different to that from what I've been told by our lead admin, Blueberries. Right, that is it for us today. I will show you everything that we have seen today, just to refresh your memory, as it is obviously long time since we saw our first game today, but all games completed as it stands. Salty Potatoes 2-0 over Historic Esports. Calamity Reborn 2-0 XL Esports, and Team Queso take the victory over Waves. So, yes, that was all 2-0 today, and we'll see all of our games following in the final week. Thank you for joining us here at the Vainglory League. I've been a pleasure to host this week. It's been some exciting playoff action, double ban system coming through as well. Teams getting used to that also. Dalsy and Tasty Bacon and myself will return next week, next Tuesday at 6 PM CET to conclude our playoff bracket over the course of the week. Thank you very much, and see you soon.